Buenas tardes. Good afternoon in Spanish. For Spanish people, welcome again to the show. I'm Gabi Affair. This is another Saturday, and you're welcome to the show. This is the place for everything European football. This is the place to listen to every Saturday and Sunday. It's always an interactive show, so you can send in your thoughts. 0539969996 0539986996. And as always on the show, at the tail end of the show, we'll activate the phone lines, and then you can call us and get talking with us as well. We're live on YouTube, City Sports Ghana, and also City FM. We're also live on TV, Channel 1 TV. And if you're listening to us on radio, it's your favorite dial, 97.3. I'm Gabi Affair, and you can find me on X at Gabi Milito 7. If you want to leave your messages there, feel free to do so. Maybe with the hashtag The Republic of Football. It's a busy Saturday and Sunday as well. The next 2 days promises to be interesting. Arsenal, Manchester City are in action later tomorrow. The first final in the English football calendar. That's the Carabao Cup. Mikel Arteta coming up against his mentor, Pep Guardiola. His mentee up against mentor. Who wins it? People say it's actually the battle of the minds. Because whatever the result is in that game, it would actually influence the approach from the two teams. When the two sides meet again in the Premier League in the Etihad, talking about a title race. And especially maybe you want to say that there's pressure on Mikel Arteta. Is that really pressure on him to win it? This season looks like it's a very good clean slate for Mikel Arteta's side. If one look at the point gap between he and Manchester City, that's Pep Guardiola. Well, that game will be talked about a lot more later tomorrow. But today, at the Amex Stadium, not the results Liverpool fans will be hoping for. Because as I speak, 61 minutes played at the Amex Stadium. It's Liverpool 2. Brighton and Hove Albion 2. Liverpool 1. Nearly swapped the scoreline. That's match week 31. Then later, 3 p.m., Fulham taking on Burnley. Manchester City should have been action this afternoon, but that game has been postponed because of the action against against Arsenal later tomorrow. The Carabao Cup final. City would have been up against Crystal Palace. And then at 5:30 there is Everton taking on Chelsea at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Then the final game for today is at the Bramall Lane. Leeds United up against Brentford. For the championship lovers, lots of games to look forward to. Blackburn up against Middlesbrough. Derby County are taking on Birmingham City. Ipswich take on Millwall. Bristol City up against West Bromwich Albion. Charlton Athletic up against Norwich City. Hull City take on Sheffield Wednesday. QPR take on Portsmouth. Sheffield United up against Wrexham. Southampton up against Oxford United. Then Watford take on Leicester City. The final game today in the championship is at 5:15 p.m. Swansea City taking on table toppers Coventry City, managed by Frank Super Lampard. When you head to France, the French Liga, Toulouse take on Lorraine at 4 p.m. AJ Auxerre will be up against Stade Brestois. And then OGC Nice take on Paris Saint-Germain at 8:05 p.m. In Germany, there is Bayern Munich up against Union Berlin at 2:30. That's 20 minutes to kick off. FC Cologne will take on Borussia Mönchengladbach. Then Heidenheim take on Bayer Leverkusen at 2:30. Wolfsburg will play Werder Bremen. Then Borussia Dortmund up against Hamburger SV. 5:30. That's for the Bundesliga. Talking about Italian Serie A, Parma take on Cremonese. That game is goalless. AC Milan will take on Torino. 5 p.m. today. And then at 7:45 p.m. Juventus up against Sassuolo. In the Dutch Eredivisie, my interest is just one. Looking out for Ghana's Andre Ayew, who will be in action later tonight at 8 p.m. These days, Ayew plays for NAC Breda in the Dutch Eredivisie. So NAC Breda up against Zwolle. Especially looking at the conversation that has resurfaced around Ayew. That's if he'll get into that 26-man squad that will be on that flight to the USA, Canada, and Mexico. That's why we keep in tabs on not just him, but all of the other players, right? The Ghanaian players who will be playing or who will be in action against for their respective teams. Call it the World Cup watch. Keeping tabs on how they perform. Like I said, it's an interactive show, so always join the conversation. 0539986996 053996 For the Spanish La Liga, Elche are taking on Mallorca. It's goalless. Espanyol will take on Getafe at 3:15 p.m. Then Levante will be in action. They are up against Real Oviedo 5:30. For Real Oviedo, there's Kwesi Sibo played for Real Oviedo. Osasuna will take on Girona at 5:30. Then Sevilla take on Valencia at 8 p.m. That's the matches we'll be talking about today. This is the Republic of Football 97.3. Gabby of You're part of the show, so our guys on YouTube, you can leave your thoughts there and I'll read them for you. If you want to do the WhatsApp line 0539969996, I'll also be glad to read them. Please make sure to do always add your name where you're texting us from, same as when you call. Go Yao J Minta in studio with me. And also Kobe Obane here with me, Manuel Angelo Kwache. Guys to help me do this discussion today. And Edwin Kwakofi, the man behind the YouTube magic. He's always the man there, right? The graphics you see, the updates and all of that. He's the man who displays that for you just to help with the conversation. And so if you're watching us on YouTube, you know that there's that graphics to back whatever analysis you'd be hearing right here on this channel. So yeah, Edwin Kwakofi is the man. There. Yesterday we had United playing Bournemouth. They played out a 2-2 draw at the Vitality Stadium. United saw red in that game but managed to hold on to that point against the Cherries. The red card went to Harry Maguire in that game when Panorama was keeping tabs on that game. So we'll start off the conversation from the doorsteps of Bournemouth and also Manchester United. Yeah, we'll be looking at United's chances of securing that spot to play in the Champions League next season. And for Bournemouth, they are also in there trying to see if they can get into a place, maybe the Europa League conference next season or something like that. So, but before I get to the guys, let me just quickly run you through the table, how it's looking like. So Arsenal are top with 70 points. They've played 31 games. They scored 61 goals, conceded 22. A goal difference of 39. City are second on the table. They do have 61 points. So the graphics is on YouTube for you, so you can also follow whilst I'm running you through. That's if you're on YouTube watching us, but if you're on radio, you just have to make do with the listening. So City are second. They have played 30 games. They've won 18, 7 draws, 5 losses, 60 goals scored, 28 conceded, a goal difference of 32, and they have 61 points. So the points gap between Arsenal and Manchester City is 9 points. Third on the table is Manchester United. They have 55 points. They have 56 goals scored, 43 conceded. Fourth on the table goes to Aston Villa. They have 40 goals scored and 37 conceded. So they have 51 points. So the point gap between United and Aston Villa is 40 points. Sorry, 4 points. Not 40. 4 points between United and Aston Villa. And then Liverpool, who are currently taking on Brighton, are fifth. Liverpool do have 49 points now because they are losing to Brighton. They scored 50 goals, conceded 42. Chelsea follow next, 6th on the table. Brentford 7th. Brighton at 8th. Everton 9. Newcastle at 10th. Bournemouth 11. Fulham at 12th on the table. So Sunderland, Crystal Palace, Leeds, Tottenham, Nottingham Forest, West Ham United, Burnley and Wolves in the red zone when you're talking about the English Premier League. So that's it with how it's looking like ahead of match day 31. All right, let me welcome my guys, Yao Jeminta and Kobe Obain here with me. Yao is on X, so Yao meant YM. Just had to give him a follow. Kobe, are you on X?
I am.
You're X. You're on X, right?
Yeah.
What's your handle?
William_JR14.
Okay. I hope you are aware of the name the guys are giving you on YouTube, though.
Oh, yes. Your third shining brother.
Yeah, last week you were not here. They were asking of you, where is Shining Brother 3? I was like, yeah, he's around. Yeah, but it's good to have you.
Definitely. Great to be back.
Today should be good. A lot of games, really interesting games to look forward to. Buying a lot of that in action. But yeah, let's start off. I want us to start off from United's doorsteps. Yesterday we couldn't really talk much on Panorama because of the issues. United managed to get a point at the Vitality against Andoni Iraola's Bournemouth. Just your initial thoughts about the performance in general. I don't know where you want to start from, on the part of Bournemouth or United.
Well, since it ended in a draw, I think I would just split it. And it was a very good game, evenly matched, evenly paced, and it had equally even level of controversy or controversies. Because you look at AFC Bournemouth, for instance, the penalty that they got to get the second goal, that eventually led to Harry Maguire's dismissal. Is it worthy enough to be called as a foul in the box, hence a penalty? And if it is so, then how is it that Amad Diallo's incident that happened earlier in the second half wasn't called for or called as a penalty? And you know the worst part of it? After the referee decided to waive off that opportunity or that chance to call that as a penalty, that foul on Amad Diallo as a penalty, the ensuing possession, Bournemouth got the equalizer for the first goal that they conceded against Man United. That's how they got back level with Man United at 1-1. And so you look at the missed opportunity on two fronts. So one was that Man United could have earned a penalty to get to go up by 2-0. They didn't get it, and in pretty much the ensuing possession or the immediate possession after that particular incident, they go ahead and concede a goal. So you'll be hit twice by things that weren't so good. And so in that sense, Man United will definitely feel aggrieved. And it's just like the 2025 AFCON final that has brought about a lot of conversation, where the referee, John Jackson Dalla, he made that call for the penalty. And as debatable as it was, it's, fair, he's giving the penalty. But you ask yourself, okay, if you give that as a penalty, or you gave that as a penalty, then how is it that you prevent or you decided to waive off that goal that Senegal scored a few minutes earlier? So it's about the consistency. And that's where there was an issue with the refereeing in that particular tournament, in that particular game. And it's the same thing that happened last night with Man United's game, where the consistency was just not there. If you decided to waive off that particular Ahmad incident as it not being a penalty or worthy enough to be a penalty, but then you go ahead and give Bournemouth a penalty because of that foul that Harry Maguire committed, for me, it doesn't tally. It's not consistent enough. And on top of that, he got red carded. That for me was quite harsh in that sense. And so for me, it was a good game. Man United will definitely feel a bit aggrieved because aside they go, they went down by a man too, and I also had their chances of being able to make a late push and potentially get a late goal. And so Man United will definitely feel a bit aggrieved about it. Okay. But take out the controversies. A 2-2 draw for Man United at a tough venue like the Vitality Stadium against Bournemouth. I think it's a good result. And on top of that, Bournemouth are riding quite a significant unbeaten run in the league.
So 11, they've gone 11 games.
If you go to Vitality Stadium and get a draw, I think it's a fair point and it's a good point. But you look at the circumstances that surrounded the draw, and if you are Man United, you just be thinking like, okay, if things were officiated in a more consistent way, Man United could have ended up with all 3 points, and that would have more or less sealed their third place ranking and the qualification to the Champions. That's why I always advocate that watch the games. Don't just look at the results, the statistics and all those things. If you watch the game, if you watch the results and all the statistics that come with it, you think, it's a fair result. And like you said, 11 games unbeaten and all, it's a fair result. But when you watch the game and how it went about, then you realize, things were a bit off, and the referee needed a little bit more consistency in terms of the decision making.
Kobe, talk to me about Carrick. I read this piece from The Athletic that spoke about how he's liberated some of these players in the United setup, and that has gone on to fetch him the points United do have. And as a result, also where they are currently occupying on the table. Do you agree to that? What are your own observations about him and the way United are playing now?
I think Carrick's situation, he walked into a team that was shackled by tactics that they didn't really understand. From time to time, things would work out, they would perform well, but then the team didn't have a proper grasp of what Ruben Amorim was expecting from them in that 3-4-3 system, because they didn't have the personnel that had played in a similar system before, and they didn't have people with the attributes, both athletic and in terms of position and football ability, to take on the roles that Amorim had placed in front of them. So what Michael Carrick has done in comparison to Amorim is reintroduce the simplicity of the game into Manchester United. He's come in, he's observed the players, and he's put them in the positions where they function best. Because at a certain point in time, in fact, throughout Amorim's reign with this 3-4-3, Casemiro was looking quite poor. He was always ran ragged in the game. He wasn't lasting a full 90 minutes. And people will say it's because of his age and so on and so forth. But the main issue was that he was playing in a two-man pivot with Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes would definitely move forward and leave Casemiro isolated. So, of course, you look poor. He's an excellent defensive midfielder, but he's not Superman. So he can only do so much. And that was why results were looking poor. But now Carrick has taken them back to brass tacks. So Casemiro is the pivot. He has Kobe Menu next to him to support him. And then Bruno Fernandes has the freedom to play as a 10 and create for us exclusively. And that is it. We have a left winger, we have a right winger, we have a centre forward. And everybody is satisfied with their game time. Sesko, who more often than not starts from the bench, still comes from the bench and scores. So what Carrick has brought is simplicity. That you come in, we play to our strengths, everybody has their position, you do your job, and we win games. He's realized that football doesn't need to be overly complicated. It doesn't need to be excessively tactical. We don't need to come in and reintroduce or introduce a system that obviously the players don't understand. And the thing is, once the players don't understand you, they'll try, but it will show on the pitch. Their lack of comprehension of what you want them to do will be exhibited on the pitch. And that was the unfortunate reality at United, that every week the players would step onto the pitch, give a good effort, but would be completely unable to deliver because they don't really know where they are supposed to position themselves, how they are supposed to move. Because, I mean, so many questions. Who are the wingers? Who are the wing backs? Mbumo and Cunha, are they 10s behind Sesko, or are they 9s themselves? Are they wingers? These are all things that the fans were unsure of, and I believe more so the players. So Carrick has come in, he's steadied the ship, he's given them the freedom to play the game that they are used to and that they know, and we are seeing it. We're seeing it with these results.
Okay. Kwashi, let's talk about Andoni Iraola. He's the coach for Bournemouth. I don't think a lot has been spoken about him, what he's doing with this team. And I found that a lot of people actually surprised that Bournemouth had gone on that unbeaten streak, 11 games and all of that. And what does it do to him? I mean, his CV, and then where he places him, especially with that conversation still hanging around about vacancies from some other top clubs and all of that.
I think he's done enough. I think he's done enough to end the consideration for the jobs. I think that's clear if you look at the consistency and the growth in Bournemouth. Because I think if you look at the clubs like Bournemouth and Fulham and Brentford, most people are used to them just they should be just comfortable being in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But then when you see the football that they're able to play, the talent that they're able to bring up, and the consistency sometimes in the way that they're able to play, it means that whereas it used to be a top 6 where you were consistent and it was always going to be Man United, City, Chelsea, United, Liverpool, and Spurs, if I can still include Spurs. But you were usually the teams that were challenging for the top 6, and other clubs were just unable to compete. And I think we started to notice with clubs like Bournemouth and Brentford and so on, that if you're able to invest right and get the right quality of players, it also takes you to the next level. One thing that's really important for that too is the manager. And I think you see that with with the type of appointment that they've made. You say they've gone on this unbeaten run, but if you remember, at the start of this unbeaten run started with the winner for Semenyo against Spurs, 3-2. And before that, if I'm right, they had gone 12, 13 games unbeaten, without a win in the league. So it's actually been like a season of two halves. Well, the first half of the season, they started really well. After their performance at Anfield at the start of the season, they had a positive run, and then they went for a long stretch without a win. And then they were able to end the win, and now they've gone on a long stretch winning. So I think the only problem that he's had since he's been at the Bournemouth job is he's been a bit streaky. He hasn't necessarily been able to, always been able to put out the same, football. Sometimes it was down to injuries. If you remember last season, there was a lot of talk about how his squad was injured, and it was affecting his ability to play football. And the start of the season,
and also losing some key players, because this season he's already lost he's lost Semenyo, he's brought in Ryan. Ryan has fit in seamlessly. He doesn't show even though he's yet to actually give result to the team. But I think that some way somehow distorts the coach's plan for the season.
Yeah, and if you include the fact that his whole back line was how do you call it, was started last season, so losing Zabani, Kepa going to Arsenal, and losing almost all his defensive line, and Senesi is on a contract. Senesi's contract ends the season, so within the space of 1 season, 1.5 seasons, he's going to have to retool the whole back line again, and that's always going to be complicated, and that's the difference between being at a club like Bournemouth and being at a team like Man City, where you can necessarily always build your squad and add players, whereas when you're at Bournemouth, it's a constant change. Because the better the players perform, the more unlikely it is that they're going to be at your club. So that's where you have to give him credit, like you said, for adapting to without Semenyo. If you see the run that they've gone on and the fact that they've been able to get someone like Krupi, who was virtually unknown at the start of the season, and now I say he's one of the most highly rated young players in the league this season. So I think that's the best. That's where his credit comes in. He's able to find these gems within which is also credit to the club and their recruitment and the type of players that come in, and he's able to make them work, and he's able to get the best out of them. But with clubs like that, there's always going to be a limit, and you can see that with a team like Brighton are winning right now at Liverpool, but they've struggled a bit this season compared to other seasons. And if you have to constantly keep changing and chopping the players and always hope that the next there's always another talent out there. There's always another talent out there that can come and be better than the ones you have. Other than maybe putting the teams together and seeing what you can possibly build with the team if they're together for maybe 2 or 3 seasons. Yeah, I think that's the next step for him. And if he's able to do that, we'll see how much better he can be as a coach.
Okay. That's the word on Andoni Iraola, the head coach for Bournemouth. They played out a 2-2 draw against Manchester United last night. Let me take you to the Amex, right? Because the Liverpool are losing to Brighton and Hove Albion. I'll get Kwachi to explain that. He's a big fan of Arne Slot. So, but let me just run you through the starting 11 just in case you've not been able to check that. There have been a few changes though on the part of Liverpool side, same with Brighton, but Liverpool started with Mamadashvili in post, back four of Jeremy Frimpong played as the right back, Ibrahima Konate, Virgil van Dijk, and Milos Kerkez. Kerkez scored the equalizer for Liverpool. Ryan Gravenberch is playing as the only DM, flanked on the right with that's where Dominic Szoboszlai is playing, and then Julian Viet also there. McAllister playing as a 10 behind Hugo Ekitike and Cody Gakpo. I think Ekitike picked up an injury. He was substituted not too long. Liverpool made some few changes. They brought in Chiesa, Curtis Jones, Ngumoha, and Robertson. On the part of Brighton, they started with a 4-2-3-1 formation. So Verbruggen in post, the back four of Wifa, Van Heeke, Luis Dunk, and Kadioglu. James Jimenez passed in Pascal Gross, and then Yakuba Mente in there. He's also been subbed. Henry Sherwood started, Gomez, and then Danny Welbeck. He scored his 11th goal this season. He's already equaled his best tally for season. So Danny Welbeck gets in 2 goals for Brighton and Hove Albion. In fact, it's 12 goals because it was 10. He scored 2. So he has 12 goals this season for Brighton and Hove Albion. Kwache, let me start off with you. Liverpool displayed a very good performance against Galatasaray in the Champions League. They showed up in the PL and they're losing. 87 minutes played though. There's a lot of minutes to see out. I mean, the game can't change. I don't even know, because the question I'm about to ask you is something we've been talking about every time. What's going on here?
I mean, this is Arne Slot, if I can say. This has been his typical second season so far since they won the league, and since he's had to bring in new players and adapt them to his system. To be fair,
what happened to Kitiki though?
It was an injury. I think there was a collision with Milner. He tried to continue a bit earlier on, but then he couldn't, so he came off. That's going to be a big worry. To have Isak out for this extended period and now to lose Ekitike, the 2 players who are supposed to, occupy that position, it's going to be a bit of a struggle for them. And I think you can see it just a bit because it looks like Gakpo has had to shift a bit and play as a central striker. And he, as good as, I mean, sorry, not as good as, but as if you look at the way he's played this season, I don't think necessarily he has the confidence to be playing up front and to be the main man leading the line for Liverpool. They look better now that Chiesa and Rio have come on. I think both of them are players who would be very surprised that, given Liverpool haven't been very good this season, that they haven't been able to get opportunities themselves in this team. But there's also the factor of, I don't know how much he has to do with the play. Mamadashvili, I don't think he was at fault for most of the goals. But there's also a pattern where it seems like when Alisson is unavailable to play, the team is also seems to concede a lot of goals. And I don't necessarily want to put that down just to the keeper. When you hear some of the more experienced Premier League players talk, they talk about how sometimes there needs to be a relationship between the goalkeeper and the back line. And if you look at Liverpool this season, there's been a consistent back line of, at least in terms of the centre backs, it's usually been Konate and, how do you call it, Virgil van Dijk, because almost every other centre back bar Gomez has been injured. So I don't know if sometimes when he comes into the team, sometimes there's just this disconnect between him and the back line, and sometimes it doesn't necessarily always help the team. But in terms of Liverpool, this is what we've seen all season. If I'm right, this would be the 10th defeat of the season. That's double figures for a team that won the league to go from that to losing at least 10 games. And I can't guarantee that this will be the last loss of the season. That's quite disappointing. But if you look at what Slot has been saying in terms of the ambitions for the season, I don't really think Brighton had a good opportunity to score, but I don't really think it changes much because I think they are still ahead of Chelsea and Brentford. I think it's just a point that they would be ahead of Chelsea now. Yeah. But there might be a gap between...
If they lose today, so just 1 point.
1 point. What's the gap between them and Brentford?
They and Brentford is also 4 points.
4 points. So they have that little buffer of... Yeah. But that obviously, the problem now is City doesn't qualify them for Champions League. Even though they'll be in the top 6, it gives Chelsea the opportunity to come back and go ahead and have the advantage going into the end of the season.
That's it if they go on to go and win the Champions League. And then you activate another slot in the PL for the team that finishes 6th. So you have 17. Yes, if. So you are just doing ifs.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the Champions League run is way more different than... Because to go and beat... What was the score against Galatasaray? 4-0. Yeah, so we are just doing... based on that run.
Yeah, based on that run.
Yeah, pretty much they are through to the next stage of what? They are in there. Yeah, so if they go on to win it... okay. Yeah, in the Champions League, per the standing now, it means that they would end up playing the Europa League.
Yeah. So I mean, just in theory, they would have to go through PSG in the quarterfinals, then either Real Madrid or Bayern in the semi-finals, and then beat either Arsenal or Barca in the final.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yes. And
even the PSG tie alone is...
They are struggling away to Brighton at the moment. And as it stands right now, they don't have a fit striker who can play up front. They have 2 fit centre backs.
You got Icardi Gakpo.
He
brought in these players. He's the man he's relied on.
Yeah, but he's preferred playing him out wide. And if he plays him through the middle, he doesn't want to play Chiesa anyway. So I don't know how he's then going to retool it. He probably puts Rio up front, or maybe there's a whole lot of retooling that has to be done. And for a team that has already been retooled so much, for a team that already has players that are exhausted, players that have played virtually almost every game that they've been fit for, someone like Szoboszlai has moved from right back to midfield. He's moved all around the pitch. He's played every game. Players are getting exhausted. Players are also getting used to these type of results. And that's not even talking about just the mental stress of having to constantly go through this. And I don't know. I'm looking at the team right now, and it just is not surprising anymore. And that's, I think, is the most disappointing thing about this type of performance.
Okay. Let's see. Well, elsewhere, Bayern Munich are taking on Union Berlin. There's a Ghanaian who plays for Union Berlin. That's Derek Arthakon. He's in action. Yeah, so he's coming up against Harry Kane. Yeah, man. Derek Arthakon against... Kevin, talk to me about Slot. If this team finishes 6th or 7th, and whatever it is, so they have to play in Europa or Conference League, what eye do you think the top hierarchy will be looking at him with? And do you think it would be satisfactory to say, okay, let's stay with him, let's back him more with signings, and see what he does in the following season? Bear in mind that he now has to play in the Europa League, and this is if again they failed to win the Champions League.
Well, as for winning the Champions League, I think that one is far from a foregone conclusion. Even the first game against PSG, I think by then we'll know whether or not they are going to win the Champions League.
I mean that's unfair. Like let's
Oh no!
okay, we're talking season now, but let's talk pedigree. These are 6-time European champions. PSG have won 1 European Cup. PSG have won 1 European Cup. I admit that they have probably been better in terms of form this season, but they play in Liga. We both made it to the same stage of the Champions League. To immediately discredit Liverpool.
So a fair chance to all the
I think
two
they have a
teams.
fair chance. They're definitely not favourites because PSG are the defending champions, and based on the form that they've shown this season, I don't think so. But dismiss the possibility of Liverpool winning the Champions League. It's something that Liverpool does, and I think that there's a fair opportunity if you look at if you look at the team itself or PSG. If that makes sense. They are not as good as they were last season. They have Barcola is now out for an extended period of time. Dembele himself has struggled with fitness this season. There's a chance that they get beyond PSG. It's when they get to the semi-finals that I'll be honest, I'm not sure. But then if you don't run into companies Bayern, you probably meet up below as Real Madrid. And I mean, I trust Slot to he could be tactically be better than
Charlie, you should see the way Michael Olise just breezed past.
Olise is crazy this season.
Charlie,
If there's a minute for him,
it felt like Afakon doesn't exist on the left side.
I mean, the guy is a Ballon d'Or contender, so
Easily.
See, Chairman.
yeah, I noticed. I mean, Olise is a Ballon d'Or contender. I know.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people.
He tried to brush that off when you
I know a lot of people
by
would, raise their eyebrows and go like, "What is he saying? Ballon d'Or contender?" But check out the number of players who have been consistent from the start of the season till this point in time. And there are just very few who get ahead of him. The only reason why I don't see him winning it is because of Harry Kane. Because he's creating chances, he's dribbling, he's crossing and all of those things. But at the end of the day, who is the one at the end of it finishing off those moves?
I think he has 16 assists or so.
He has 15 goals and 23 assists in all competitions. 38 goal contributions.
That's too hot.
So if I look at him, that's a Ballon d'Or kind of guy. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I don't see him winning.
Is it dependent on
let's see how the World Cup
do with the Champions League?
I mean, definitely. If I look at this era,
even if Bayern Munich does well in the Champions League,
Harry Kane is there.
Harry Kane is there, and he'll definitely be a prominent part of it. And so, because of that, I don't see him usurping Harry Kane. It's just like.
Did you say 20 assists?
Yeah,
27.
27.
15 and 27 assists.
Wow.
In all competitions?
In all
or
competitions.
In the Bundesliga?
In all competitions.
In all competitions.
So I think it's still. So what? That's
42 goal
contributions.
This was according to transfer market?
According to transfer market.
Okay, cool. Then, if you have a situation where it's just like last year's Ballon d'Or, if you have a situation where two guys are competing for the award and they are both doing well, there's some kind of negation that comes along with it.
Yeah.
So just like Barca, last season he had Lamine Yamal and Rafinha.
Yeah.
I honestly believe Rafinha should have won the award, but at the end of the day, because there was also Lamine Yamal, it took some points away from Rafinha. It's the same thing with Olise and Harry Kane. Some points will go or will be taken off Michael Olise, because like I said, you are a winger, you are creating goals, you are dribbling and all of those things. But at the end of the day, it's Harry Kane who's at the end of it and scoring. And although that's not like Harry Kane is just standing around just finishing off doing tapping goals and all. No, he's scoring very good goals. Long range strikes, he's dribbling. We saw the goal he scored against Kamal Dean's Atalanta. All of those things.
Honestly, and you have to add the English agenda. If Harry Kane gets anywhere near Premier Champions League title,
so the PR bit will come.
So exactly. So,
but what if Olise?
I don't see Olise winning.
Olise has World Cup. That's the thing I'll give to Olise. He has probably a better chance with France at the World Cup than England.
At the World Cup with France, he's going to be like a bit part player.
Yeah, and that's the difference.
And so I don't see, even if they win the World Cup, I still don't see him winning the title, the Ballon d'Or award, because he's limited somewhat, quote unquote, limited somewhat.
Yeah.
For his club and for his country, because at his club, like I said, Harry Kane is the one who is getting all the attention. For country, there are multiple guys who are getting all the attention. That's even worse, because there's a very sensible or plausible scenario where Michael Olise plays like let me see, like Ousmane Dembele did at the 2018 World Cup, where we know you are talented, we know you have the numbers from your club, but you don't play much. You don't play too many minutes in the French national team, because Michael Olise is not going to start unless there are some injuries.
Just
he won't start for France.
Yeah.
Realistically, he won't start for France. So, and on top of that, even in the second unit, there are guys who are out there who would battle him for minutes. So, in that sense, it's likely he's going to be a big part player. And being a big part player for, let's say, a World Cup winning team, and being the second or the third best player on your team, because mind you, Bayern Munich, there's also Luis Diaz, who's doing very well.
Yeah.
You can't make a case for a Ballon d'Or win. You can't.
Yeah. Just to point out on the Harry Kane thing, Harry Kane is on 47 goals and 5 assists in all competitions. He has 40 goals. He has 30 in the Bundesliga and 10 in the Champions League already. That's, yeah.
And there are about what, 7 games left in the Bundesliga beyond this game.
I think you can actually start talking about Lewandowski's record, the record of 40.
Yes, okay. And there's also the Champions League. At least they have 2 more games left. That is if they qualify. They have at least 2 more games left. There's the German Cup too.
Yeah.
So it's very plausible that a guy can break the record. And once he breaks the record, and maybe they are definitely winning the Bundesliga, and they win, let's say, the German Cup, and potentially make it to the final of the Champions League or even win it. Irrespective of what England does at the World Cup, I see him winning the Ballon d'Or. Unless maybe Lamine Yamal goes on the run that he is on right now, and that's same with Spain, and helps them to win maybe the World Cup. That's the only reason, or the only way I don't see Harry Kane winning the Ballon d'Or.
Okay, well, let's take you back to England, and you should see the scenes at the Amex Stadium. Brighton fans super elated that their side are beating Liverpool as well. Liverpool's 10th loss this season, their highest. I saw the stats just not too long. It's all been 9-9-9 mostly, with this as the highest loss in the PL. So their 10th loss, and then
that's even worse than 16-17 when they finished 8th.
Yeah,
that sounds crazy.
So some were 8 losses, some were 9 losses, and all of that. Actually, come now. I wanted to take your thoughts on Slot. That's if he's unable to get this team again in the Champions League for next season.
If he doesn't make it, I don't see him being sacked.
Oh, you don't see him being sacked?
I don't see him being sacked.
He's there for another season?
No. Honestly, I don't see him being sacked, because I feel like with the way the season has gone so far.
What do you think? Yeah.
What
do you think? Why you disagree? Or you feel like it's overly done? But what do you think would be that extra decision from the top hierarchy to look at him and say that, okay, we are sticking with him for another season again?
I think he'll be sacked, but you finish.
I mean, I would be surprised if he went into
let's
hear from let me see what.
The reason why I think he won't be sacked is because, honestly, if he was going to be sacked, I think he would have already been sacked at some point in this season.
But Liverpool have this rich history of,
it's not that rich history. Like, I mean, I get it's true. They back their manager, fair. But the last time that they actually had success with their manager was when Brendan Rodgers was sacked mid-season and they brought in Jurgen Klopp. So
nothing of that sort of.
I mean, how often have they been successful in that period?
Okay.
So, I'm just asking, before the Champions League, since Benitez to when Klopp came in, there was one League Cup there where Kenny Dalglish won. But other than that, they weren't successful. So I can't back the model that was used if it wasn't successful. And the time that they realized that he had to make a change quickly, they were actually able to get results. So I'm just surprised that there's this whole we need to take our time and make sure. And if it gets to the end of the season, the man hasn't done a good job. He did really well in the first season.
You think that narrative can change with him?
He hasn't performed well this season. And if we're going strictly I don't like using the fact that it was Klopp's team. That's not the argument I want to say.
But it's true though.
Maybe it was Klopp's team, but the fact that it was obvious that
you mean the title winning
team, the fact that he made little adjustments and now he's struggling when he has to make adjustments is actually quite glaring. And that's where it's almost like, is he too devoted to a system that he's trying to The same thing with Amorim. Obviously, it's not a 3-back system, but if he's too devoted to certain aspects of his system or certain players within the system, that means that rather than accommodating or being changing up to the players that you have, you are more insistent on trying to get your philosophy across. And he keeps saying this thing which is so frustrating. He was talking about the PSG game, and he came out and he said that last season the game against PSG was his favorite game of the season. Not even in terms of the result, but that's how football is supposed to be played, with two teams coming at each other. And I don't know where this thing that he started off, that football is supposed to be played on the floor, you don't play long ball, you don't hit it. It's strange. Football is football. Adapt and try and win football games.
The thing is, he didn't have answers to those things.
He doesn't have the answers to that style of football, and his problem is people keep changing their tactics against us, obviously, because you're struggling to adapt to the tactics. So and that's my point. Like, once you look at the body of work that is actually his, it hasn't been impressive, and that is why I would be surprised if they decide to stay with him beyond the season.
Okay, come now.
Yes. So for me, as I was saying, I don't think Liverpool will sack him at the end of this season. Not because they shouldn't sack him, they should, but if they were going to, they would have already, because the form, the games, the style of play, even how they win games is not encouraging enough to keep him. Because looking at the beginning of the season, they were winning games, last minute winner, against Arsenal, against Bournemouth. It wasn't encouraging. It doesn't inspire confidence. But they were going along for the ride. Then went on a poor run of form, got back up again, went on another losing streak. It's been an up and down season with more downs than ups, but they've stuck with him throughout. I even know some Liverpool fans personally who've been clamoring for his dismissal, but he's still there. So honestly, I think if they're able to make it to Europe, I think the higher ups, even though they will be tempted to sack him, they'll still keep him and see what he can do next season. They'll try and get him to regroup, work on their injury issues. I don't know if they'll give him more money. Maybe they will, but they won't be encouraged. But I think
don't
they'll
spend 450 million pounds again.
And apart from that, if they sack Slot, who do Liverpool hope to bring in to take?
Xabi Alonso. For me, that's the main reason why I think they'll sack him, because there are options out there.
He's sitting waiting.
There are options out there.
And there
are options out there.
Madrid is already out of the picture now. So
so there are options out there. That's the main reason why I see they sacking him, because it's so crystal clear. It's the worst kept secret that Liverpool have wanted Xabi Alonso for a while, and on multiple occasions they couldn't get him because he was either tied to a project at Bayern Leverkusen, or he wanted to do his dream job, which is to coach at Real Madrid. Now that dream job, he got it, and it didn't end the way he wanted it, and now he's free. Now he already won the Bundesliga title with Bayer Leverkusen.
That is,
he won the German Cup.
He has upgraded his CV.
He won the German Cup, and so that project that he was involved with at Bayer Leverkusen, it ended in success. You get it? So that project is complete. He got Bayer Leverkusen to win the Bundesliga for the first time. That project is complete. Then once you are done with your project, you go do try to self-actualize, which is to get your dream job and be successful with at your dream job. Which is Real Madrid in Xabi Alonso's case, and unfortunately it didn't work out. So now that you sorted out those two issues, and now you are free. And Liverpool have a very good and impressive collection of talent, and they come for you and you are interested. You are a legend of the. Can I say he's a legend of the club? Yes, he's a legend of the club. At the end of the day, they won the Champions League, so he will definitely be a legend of the club. Once you get the chance, why wouldn't you go? Why would you say no? You get it. So I look at that Liverpool bit and I see why Arne Slot will get sacked, because unless maybe he wins the Champions League, even the FA Cup, would they save him? Maybe
he wins the FA Cup and qualifies for
Champions League. If he wins the FA Cup and Champions, it might save him. But to what extent? That will mean that they've given him like 3 months for the next season. That means they've given him 3 months for the next season. But if he wins the Champions League, oh yeah, that's another full year guaranteed. No matter what happens the following season, that's another full season guaranteed. But if he doesn't win it, and let's say he wins the FA Cup and qualifies Liverpool to the Champions League, that could buy him some time, but just a little bit.
Okay.
If he wins the FA Cup and doesn't qualify to the Champions League, oh yeah, he's a goner. It will just be like Man United's case with Louis van Gaal.
Yeah.
You won the FA Cup, but you didn't qualify the team to the Champions League. And so, yeah, you brought the silverware and the laurel, but you didn't bring the money. Because the Champions League is where you are going to get the money.
Yep.
So, in that sense,
and if you don't qualify, that's when you have your players, some of them pulling their legs.
Yeah, those things. So in that sense, you know what? It's best you leave. So it depends, but most likely 8 out of 10 he'll get sacked.
Okay.
Unless, like I said, he either wins the Champions League or he wins the FA Cup and qualifies the team to the Champions League. Even if he wins the FA Cup, just that, and Liverpool fails to qualify to the Champions League, he'll get sacked. Because there's Xabi Alonso there. There's Andoni Iraola there. We just talked about how impressive he's been with AFC Bournemouth.
Yep.
Why not going for him? And so in that sense, yeah, I don't see Arne Slot lasting long at Liverpool. No, I don't see it.
Okay. I'll try and see if we can get some messages. 053996 053996 996. Let me take some of them on YouTube, and then we'll go for our first break. When we come back, we'll talk more about the next game, and also look at Bayern's game against Union Berlin. That game should be really good. Let me take some messages on YouTube. Raymond Decoder says, first person to listen. Okay. J. Keck says, Liverpool playing like they have cement blocks tied to their waist. They can't even run. Okay. Kwiku Joshua says, hey, Liverpool, please. J. Keck says, VVD is just standing there like a choir director. Okay. I just saw a shirt that looks like that of Numo. Is he in the studio? Okay. He says, shout outs to Shining Brother 3. Gabi, I think you should consider bringing Shining Brother 3 to Panorama. Okay. Newtown Comics 315 says, hey, Liverpool, I can't. May it long continue. But to be really honest, Arne Slot is not even a decent coach, let alone a good one. What's all this? Okay. He goes on to say that, is the Liverpool board really happy with this? This is terrible. Liverpool is looking clueless in this game.
Main point. That's another thing.
He looking clueless. Not finding out
he's not been able to impact the games enough from the bench too. Yeah. And like that's the thing. If you look at this, it'd be very surprising to find a board that looks at this and is pleased with his performance. And the part that is very key is Klopp was never back like this. If you had given Jurgen Klopp this money, I think he would have
cooked more than
I think he could have gone to Guardiola if he wasn't always having to struggle with his backline sometimes. If I look at his backline, the most expensive player he probably got was maybe Timeka. I mean, was Van Dijk. Yeah. Definitely Van Dijk. But if you look at the players around him, Gomez, Konate is. I mean, we see Konate now. Like how do you call it? Shimikas, Robertson. Yeah. These are how do you call it? Trent. These are players that were not acquired for a lot of money, and obviously they needed to shine the project by getting certain key players. And you know the story about how the Coutinho money was spent on Virgil and Van Dijk and Alisson. They had to generate the money that they spent. So I think it's slightly unfair, and I don't think it's the same bar that's being used. If you are going to not back your previous manager to this extent, and then once you back this manager and he's not able to perform, you still are so pleased with that performance. And I don't think the standard should change at Liverpool.
All right. JK says Olise has Harry Kane feeding off his assist while Yamal has Ferran Torres. Okay. Sid Kwame says Warbeck cooked Liverpool. JK says Olise doesn't stand a chance of winning the Ballon d'Or. All right. It says Sid Kwame, but is Olise in the Ballon d'Or? Okay, so the guy is having a conversation also on YouTube.
The Ballon d'Or conversation. I mean, aside Harry Kane and Lamine Yamal, who else is?
Sis Kwame says Salah and VVD got contract extension.
No, I just wanted to use a similar example. How Neymar felt when he was at Barca with Messi, and how, in his understanding, if he ever thought he could win the Ballon d'Or, he could never win it at Barca, because if they ever were successful, all the credits would go to Messi. I look at Ulisse and Bayern in a slightly similar way, with the point that he made about Kane, and I wonder if there's a point where he can also take on the mantle of being the main guy at a team.
Okay.
I don't know whether that, and I don't know what team that would be. I don't know whether that's Barca. I mean, obviously that can be at Barca, and I doubt it can be at Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And clearly, it's not at Bayern. So I don't know. Maybe there's a Premier League team, or maybe there's a. Harry Kane is also growing older too. So, but there needs to be a point where he needs to be the main guy for the team, and that will also reflect. That will also impact how he's viewed for these type of awards.
Okay.
Well, you know, we could make that argument if Harry Kane went such an all-round player. If he were someone who were just standing in the middle, like, you know, a sort of Haaland player just waiting for the ball to come.
But he's also sometimes creating,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Going around the pitch, creating from deep, playing as
You
Yao
see the
said
last goal,
earlier.
the last goal he scored, the way he weaved his way through the defenders
Exactly.
and hit the ball with some. Yeah, imagine the goalkeeper now.
So not only is he feeding off of Olisse's assist, he's creating goals for himself, he's creating goals for others. So this is an all-round player. So if you add goals plus assists, creativity, dropping deep, long passing, short passing, I think, yes, Olise, we can say maybe he'll finish top 3 or top 5 in the Ballon d'Or. But then in terms of him actually getting close to the top where we expect Harry Kane to be, that to be a different matter altogether. We'll need him to have an excellent World Cup run.
Okay.
And we need England to heavily underperform for Olise to have a shout of actually winning the Ballon d'Or over Kane.
All right, it says some crazy fun facts. That's from Alex Boydu. It says Liverpool have now failed to win 17 out of their 31 Premier League games this season. They have spent £450 million in the summer and are currently 5th in the table. Okay. Let's go for our very first break. When we come back, there's more football talk right here for you, 97.3. This is the Republic of Football. I'm Gabriel Fair here with Yao, Jay Minta, Bobby O'Bain, and Manuel Angelo Kwache. Technical support from Daniel Squashy and Edwin Kwakofi behind the YouTube magic. We'll be back after this break. following, watching how he performs against Bayern Munich. It's a big game, so and also there's a familiar foe. Arthur Con is facing. He might probably face C again when the two sides meet. That's Ghana and England. That's if he gets to start. Yeah, but speaking of England, right? This is what we want to do today. I want you to jump onto that conversation as well. So, it was on Friday, right? It was on Friday. The squad was released.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Sharp.
Sharp.
Thomas Tuchel releases 35 man squad for.
He says you break it into two camps.
Yeah, they'll be taking on Uruguay and Japan in the friendlies, just like the Black Stars will also be taking on Austria and Germany. Tuchel named a few players. Some of the players that divides opinion. Some people think that this player Marvin, but when a coach names squad, right? I'm sure if I'm to ask the guys that they should also give me the Black Star squad or England squad, they would have their own choices. So we'll put up the squad. If Edwin can help with that, Edwin will get you the 35-man squad, and then we can talk about that whilst we're also keeping tabs on the games that are happening across Europe. So Italy, Germany, Spain, and all of that. We'll be keeping you posted. But we are talking about the England squad because they are one of our opponents will be facing at the World Cup. So it's always good to keep tabs on them and what they would be doing elsewhere. So let me run you through the squad, just in case you have no idea, or just in case you were unable to read it yesterday when it was released. I'll just run you through that squad, and then we'll start the conversation. So Tuchel named the 35-man squad for the two games against Uruguay and Germany at Wembley Stadium. Now the squad, okay, for the goalkeepers, they have Dean Henderson. He plays for Crystal Palace. Jordan Pickford is Everton's goalkeeper. Everton will be in action later today against Chelsea at 5:30 p.m. What's that? Is that Ruben? Is that what's the chap's name? Oh my goodness! He didn't miss that. Well, I think he didn't. Yeah, he didn't have a last look at the. After he went around the goalkeeper, he dragged it.
Wow.
He
just picked up his head a little bit.
No, but who was the one with the white band? Is it Luis Diaz?
Serge Gnabry.
What's wrong with
the headband?
Yeah.
I think he has a head injury.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm confused with. Okay, I hope it's not that serious though. Yeah, so Bayern Munich have missed a very big chance against you.
He missed quite a few. You saw the one that Carl had. I think that Carl had a tap in and he. It looked much easier to score, but then he hit the post.
Yeah.
Very strange finishing.
Okay, so Jordan Pickford plays for Everton. James Trafford, Manchester City. Aaron Ramsdale plays for Newcastle United. Jason Steele, Brighton and Hove Albion. The defenders has got Dan Burn, plays for Newcastle United. McGahey plays for Manchester City. Louis Hall of Newcastle United. Ezri Konza plays for Aston Villa. Tino Livramento, Newcastle United. Harry Maguire, United. Nico Riley plays for Manchester City. Jarrell Quansah of Bayer Leverkusen. Jet Spence, Tottenham Hotspur. John Stones, Manchester City. Fikayo Tomori plays for AC Milan, all the way in the Italian Serie A. Midfielders, they've got Elliot Anderson, plays for Forest. Jude Bellingham, Real Madrid. James Garner plays for Everton. Jordan Henderson plays for Brentford. Kobe Mainu plays for Manchester United. Declan Rice of Arsenal. Morgan Rogers, Aston Villa. Adam Wharton plays for Crystal Palace. And then the forwards, they do have okay. So Jared Bowen plays for West Ham United. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Leeds United. Eberechi Eze of Arsenal. Phil Foden plays for Manchester City. Anthony Gordon of Newcastle United. Harry Kane plays for Bayern Munich. He's in action for Bayern as we speak. Noni Madueke is of Arsenal. Cole Palmer of Chelsea. Marcus Rashford, Barcelona, loan from United. Bukayo Saka, Arsenal. Dominic Solanke of Tottenham Hotspur. So that's your 35-man squad for England. Their head coach is Thomas Tuchel, so they are prepping also for that World Cup, taking on Uruguay and Japan. England will be taking on Ghana. in the World Cup. Let me start off with you, Yao. I know you have a lot of things to say, though. I don't know which department you want to start from. Obviously, the attackers and the midfielders. Maybe you want to merge them into one, and then we can see. But any surprise omission in there, or you think
omission? Yeah. Surprise omission. I mean, you can't go without mentioning. Oh yeah, Bayern Munich have scored.
Okay, so Bayern. Oh, Charlie, easy. He had the word, the same one. So Bayern, you have their first goal. Michael Olise. That should be what his 18th goal for in all competition for Bayern Munich this season, giving giving Bayern the lead. Did Harry Kane assist?
I have to see it again. But another impressive thing about Olise is the number of games he does it in. You know, some players have habit of picking up a double or a hat-trick.
So the play started just around the center circle. It was a long pass from the defender. Olise traps that. Charlie. Is that Derek Athakon? No, that's not him. Athakon is the one behind. So, no, it's not him. Athakon was the one now coming. But you see, that's the thing about Olise.
Goretzka
with that beautiful pass, yes.
That's gone.
Look at the take from him. Bro. Charlie, this guy needs to get proper PR.
I'm telling you, like, he's a really
German
good footballer.
There are some. You see, the German league, Italian league, even the Spanish league.
Yeah.
There are some very good players out there who don't get the kind of PR. A lot of players in the EPL get.
Olise would need to change that.
For instance, before he got injured, Jamal Musiala.
Yeah.
I'll pay Jamal Musiala over Bukayo Saka any day, but it's a very tough sell.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to sell that whole notion that. Jamal Musiala is better than Bukayo Saka.
Yeah.
You get it. It's very tough to make that sale. But if you really think about it, he's better than Bukayo Saka. But he's injured this season pretty much. He hasn't played much. And so more or less the better part of 2 seasons, he doesn't have enough production on the table.
The body of work in 2 seasons.
Not enough. But Bukayo Saka has the minutes, the numbers, all of those things. So you can make a legit case that he's better than Jamal Musiala. But look, let's put it on if we are comparing those two, I'll pick Jamal Musiala any day about Bukayo Saka.
Even Olise, when you look at him when he was at Crystal Palace, there was a lot of talk about Eze. But I would argue that if you look at their productivity, because Eze was good, Eze showed up in crucial moments. Yeah. But in terms of his numbers and his productivity, I would argue that Olise had better. Than Eze.
I think it was one of even the reasons why he exited first before him, because he was mostly. I remember in games when Palace needed something extra from maybe so an individual. He was the one doing that with a free kick sometimes.
That free kick he scored against Man United.
Yeah.
I can never ever forget that free kick. Too good. But anyway,
so let's talk about
the England national team. Yes, the biggest omission it will have to be Trent Alexander-Arnold. It will have to be Alexander-Arnold.
You should see the BBC article on Trent. Actually,
it has to be Alexander-Arnold because
it means an expanded squad, 35 man.
Exactly.
But why are we surprised about that though?
I think he's picked up a bit for Real Madrid recently.
Exactly, because he's back and he's playing for Real Madrid of all teams.
You don't think he played? Looks at him and said that he doesn't. He's not really given enough for Madrid. So looking at the games he's played, and he doesn't probably.
Well, unlike our most of the times that we have here, where our coach gives Bayern Munich have scored a second goal, Serge Gnabry.
Okay, so Bayern 2, Union Berlin 0.
Unlike a situation where we have Otuado deliver or announce a squad, and the explanation behind the selections aren't too clear. Thomas Tuchel gave a breakdown why he selected so and so and why he dropped so and so.
Yeah.
And for Alexander-Arnold, he said that he wanted a different profile.
Okay.
For the right fullback position. That's what he said.
Because profile.
Yes, because he picked.
I didn't listen to that though, but I'm not surprised he said that.
He picked Jet Spence. Yeah. He picked Livramento and Jarrah Kwanzaa.
Okay. When I look at these players, what do they give me?
They can defend. They can defend.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, they can defend.
And that's what Tuchel demands first off as a right back, or even as a lateral.
Yeah.
Anything you give him is extra.
You get it. So he said he wanted something different. So the biggest omission will have to be Trent Alexander-Arnold, especially when Reece James is injured. So he was out of the picture. And on top of that, it was a 35-man squad. It wasn't even 26, your typical 26 or 23, 24-man squad. It was 35. And he still couldn't make it. So that for me, yeah, definitely the biggest omission.
Yeah.
Then who else? Let's say
Sure.
Luke Shaw. No, I don't think it's a big omission. Yeah, Luke Shaw. Clearly,
Rhys James was out.
Yeah, he's
because of
injured. Yeah, he's.
injured.
I think that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Only Watkins not a big omission
No,
because
no.
I mean he's on and off, up and down. Consistency hasn't been really there compared to what his competitors or contenders or contemporaries are doing. You look at Calvert-Lewin, he's improved since he moved to Leeds.
Yeah.
You look at Solanke over the past 5 games since he returned. He's been able to do some good work in there. Now Spurs look to be turning the corner. They finally have a win under Igor Tudor.
Okay.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that compared to Oli Watkins, though Oli Watkins got an assist in Aston Villa's win over Lille in the Europa League, he still has not been able to take his level to a different I can't say dimension to a higher state. And so
who is that?
Highlights.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think Thomas Tuchel has him in mind, but he wants to have a situation where, if it's possible, to have a guy who will be the backup to Harry Kane come in and maybe potentially produce a bit more than Oli Watkins, because Harry Kane's place is cast in stone. That one, no one is touching.
No one is taking that.
Yes, he's the one starting ahead of everyone.
Let's talk about at the last Euros about whether England should move on from Harry Kane. So I think that was pre his move to Bayern. So I'm pleased to see that. Like,
you mean the last?
Yeah, the last
World Cup.
Euros,
Yeah, I remember that conversation.
Yeah. So in that sense, so you have a situation where the backup, right now the fight is for the backup to Harry Kane's position, and you have Calvert-Lewin, Oli Watkins, Dominic Solanke is in there. Ivan Toney is a far reach. So
Welbeck?
Those guys, no, I don't think you'll take Welbeck because Welbeck, though he scored, but is he going to give you that athletic presence to be able to press and give you that ability to do the things as a backup would? Because you look at the backups, their profile.
Yeah,
Solanke,
Lewin,
big, very athletic, can help with hold up the ball and help with the press.
Context always matters, because when you look at the way Tuchel sets up his team, if he wants to move away from all that flamboyant, he would want to go route one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's why I dare say that there's a chance that Jude Bellingham might not go to the World Cup because it's not like you're not a good player, but because they are limited spots, and there are other players who offer the same quality that you bring to the table, but are in better form than you. So in that sense, you cannot take the same player, like for like player, in that same position. In that same position, you have to bring a player who offers something different. So what Danny Welbeck brings to the table, Harry Kane brings it. And brings more. And he is the starter.
Yeah, striker who is mobile and
can drop deep, can link up play, do those things. Harry Kane does those things. So the backup has to be someone who is route one.
A different profile too.
Thank you. And when it comes to that requirement, Danny Welbeck doesn't fit that requirement. It is Solanke, big guy, old school, can head the ball, those things.
But Welbeck is a physical presence.
I think
not now he's a bit diminished.
So he's talking about
his physicality is a bit diminished.
And then the age he's on now.
And on top of that, he's injury prone. He's physically diminished now. He's not like 26-year-old Danny Welbeck. You get it? But
now you get
the thing is that
so
for me,
let's do this. So between Calvert-Lewin, Dominic Solanke, Oli Watkins, and Danny Welbeck, who is the less physically imposing player of all those four?
Welbeck, that's true.
Exactly. Who is the less athletic?
Welbeck.
Or the least athletic?
Welbeck, yes.
Exactly. Who? I was about injury situation. Oli Watkins will take it. And all the others have question marks about their injury record because Solanke just came off a serious injury. Danny Welbeck has his fair injury issues. Then there's Calvert-Lewin. He also has his fair share of injuries. So it's not like Danny Welbeck isn't good enough. He scored against Liverpool today. He's good enough. But like I said, what he brings to the table, Harry Kane already brings it. And he's coming in not to play Harry Kane.
Yeah.
He's coming in to be the backup to Harry Kane. And the backups, they don't need another Harry Kane-like player.
Okay.
They need someone who can fit the Route 1 football requirement that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So, Dan Welbeck, I don't see him going to the World Cup. So, in that sense, I look at Thomas Tuchel, what he put together for this friendly games, and the explanations that he gave, especially when he said the number 10 position, that they will have to make some big calls. Oh no, massive calls. I'm quoting him. He said massive calls. Massive calls.
Someone is not going.
Two people won't go. Two big people won't go. And I know that Phil Foden there, he won't go.
Oh, no, you can't.
Phil Foden won't go. He's part of this squad.
I'm even surprised he made this. I'm even surprised he made this squad.
Maybe just wants to give him
he
a
started the season really well.
Well,
I
I'm
think he
looking
just wants to
I'm
show
looking
him
at
faith.
so one of Tuchel's words is that he wants to open up the competition for plane tickets to the US. So like he's saying, he's giving maybe like a last opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that. You see that with the defense too, even with the recall of Maguire.
Yeah.
And there are certain players that he's clearly.
Kobe Mainoo, for instance, he might not go, not because he's not a good player or a very fine player, but because what he brings to the table, Adam Watson brings it.
You know the way the Mainoo camp is elated to have him back.
That's what I'm saying. Like what he brings to the table, Adam Watson brings it.
Yeah.
You cannot take two deep line playmakers who are slow to the World Cup.
I mean, Rice is definitely in there. And there's going to be a 10. So now you're left to the space for one
it's
midfielder.
Elliot Anderson and Rice. They are starting.
Yeah,
they would go.
Okay, they are starting.
And
So it's just like with one spot in the midfield.
Anderson was the key feature in the World Cup qualifiers. Right?
Henderson.
Elliot Anderson.
Elliot Anderson. Yeah. He is definitely going. He and Declan Rice, untouchable. They are going. It's just like John Stones. When did John Stones return from injury? Just this, like 3 weeks ago. But he's in the squad. That should tell you that this guy, unless he's not fit, he will go to the World Cup. He will go. Unless he's not fit, he will go. Reece James, unless he's not fit, he will go. Like it's cast in stone. Those ones untouchable. It's there. Unless he's not fit, he will go. So you look at the number 10 position, and even that midfield, Kobe Mainoo, there's no way Tuchel will take two central midfielders who are slow. It will be between him and Adam Watson, and then you have a situation where there's Jordan Henderson to come in as an Elliot Anderson replacement, or maybe Morgan Gibbs White. Those people.
But
So or Adam Scott, yes, the Bournemouth guy.
Alex Scott.
Yes, Alex Scott. Yes. Yesterday you saw him. Man of the match, top level performance.
Excellent.
That kind of guy. Those are the guys who will be in battle for Elliot Anderson's position as a backup. Henderson, Alex Scott. Then you have a situation where you have another deep line playmaker or central midfielder, the Declan Rice position. Either you pick Adam Watson as a backup. Either you pick Adam Watson or Kobe Mainoo. You can't pick both. So a massive call will also be made. Then you look at the number 10 position. What Jude Bellingham brings to the table, Morgan Rogers brings to the table. What Jude Bellingham brings to the table, Eberechi Eze brings to the table.
Rogers of Aston Villa.
Morgan Rogers of Aston Villa. That's why I say Cole Palmer will go to the World Cup unless he's injured, because what he brings to the table
is way more different.
It's different than not just the midfielders. Every other England player.
The whole
he's
team.
different from every other England player. So he will go. But
are you saying this without considering that? Okay, so depending on form, or you don't
forget form, he will still go. Because what he brings to the table, no other England player brings to the table. And because he's there, Phil Foden won't go. Because what Cole Palmer does, Phil Foden does.
Yeah.
But Cole Palmer is at a higher level. And on top of that, Phil Foden, even when he won the Premier League Player of the Year, with the England squad, he still struggled.
Yeah.
He still struggles. So he there is definitely no going. So you have Cole Palmer, who's silky, can make a quick turn and just that's it. He just does a shoulder drop and he beats a defender. You don't have such players, too many of such players in the England national team. So because he's going, Foden won't go, and because Cole Palmer is there, you have to bring in a guy who is a power runner like Morgan Rogers or Jude Bellingham.
Okay.
And they have quality, and you can't take those two. One will have to be dropped. Eberechi Eze has a little bit of a shot, but even he will be operating as a winger. That's where his future lies in the team. If he used to go to the World Cup, other than that, the central midfield, as in the number 10, if it's down to that, he won't go. His best option will be to operate as some winger, some sort of a winger. That's his best option, and that one it will have to be on the right, because behind Bukayo Saka there's Jared Bowen.
I mean,
and
Eberechi
Eze can beat out Jared Bowen to that spot. That's the only way he will go. So that's how I see this team panning out.
Yeah. So Sweet Kwame also just drew your attention to the question I asked about Palmer. He was saying that Palmer also struggles in the England team too.
No.
I mean, if you use the evidence of the Euro final and the impact he had when he came off the bench, I think I don't think that.
Off the top of my head, I can.
No, forget even the Euro final. Even the lead up to the Euro final. No, those 12 minutes that he was coming off the bench and that Gary Southgate, he was making impact.
Apart from that, I can even give you 2 games that he didn't even start those 2 games. He came up from the bench and
Palmer performs for England.
Kobe, let me take your thoughts. Just want to make it snappy on the England convo, and then I don't know which department you want to take it from.
To be honest with you, Thomas Tuchel, he gave us his explanations. We understand.
Yeah.
But for me, I would have been very happy if Danny Welbeck were considered for this team.
Okay.
Now, I really paid attention to what Yao said, and I agree with most of his points. There are people who are more physically imposing. There are people who would be better suited to a long ball system. But looking at even looking at the group stage, right, for England, I don't think there would be any game, even though, yes, I mean, being in a group, Ghana, Croatia, Panama, I don't think there's any game where they would resort to long ball. I think they would still try and play throughout at least the group stage. Build from the back, try and connect the passes.
It's not dependent on the opponents.
But they are building this team not because of the group stage. They are building it because of quarterfinal.
Maybe we'll get to the final.
But the thing is that,
so it's,
of course,
it's not dependent on the opponents they face.
Yes, but as we said, our expectation is that our number 9 is going to, at least their number 9 is going to be Harry Kane throughout the tournament. If they had their way, he would play all 7 games if they make it that far. But looking at the form that Danny Welbeck has been in this season, I think Thomas Tuchel needs to take full advantage of that. Because Danny Welbeck, honestly, looking at his career, this might be the best football he's played. His movement is very sharp for someone of his age. He's scoring a variety of goals from the inside the penalty box. He scored some free kicks, some headers. So looking at the body of work, the collection of goals he's able to score, his catalogue, the different attributes that he's shown, his technical ability, his ability to create space for himself with a single touch, and so on and so forth. He's become more complete as he's aged. And I think England should take advantage of that, if this will be even his very last tournament for England. Because if we are expecting Jordan Henderson to go for the World Cup,
this is form and experience combined for you.
Exactly. I really think Welbeck should be considered. Apart from that, I mean, with Trent, defensively speaking, he was never going to get, because even now that he's playing for Real Madrid, if you watched their game against Celta Vigo, Madrid won. But then looking at the goal that Celta Vigo scored, he was so, I don't know, he seemed so disinterested in competing for the ball. The goal came from his side. As I mean, most goals that come in teams that Trent plays for. Because if you are a defender and most of the opposition's attacks come from your side, that sends a message about you that there's a major issue. And when it comes to right backs who can attack and defend, even though Trent has a higher volume of productivity when it comes to the attacking side of the game, we need a balance. Thomas Tuchel has always been a fundamental sort of coach, and that is why he's been so successful and he's so highly respected in football, because he places preponderance on the fundamentals. So a coach like Thomas Tuchel would not sign an Onana, because Onana is good with his feet, but he's not very good with his hands, and he's a goalkeeper. So I think for that, it's justified for Trent Alexander-Arnold to be left out of this squad. For someone like Luke Shaw, he's played almost the whole season. I don't know whether he's in Thomas Tuchel's plans or he's thinking of keeping him out. But at the end of the day, whether Luke Shaw goes or Luke Shaw doesn't go, there will definitely be people who can take up those wing-back positions. In midfield, in terms of who stays in the squad and then who ends up, moving out, it's a flip of a coin, honestly. It's a flip of a coin. In a 26-man squad, how many midfielders can you really squeeze in there? And at the end of the day, for a 7-game tournament, at most 7 games, you would try and keep your midfield as consistent as possible. So we know that Declan Rice will be there. We know Elliot Anderson will be there. And I think Cole Palmer is nailed on. I think Jude Bellingham is nailed on as well. Because even though Thomas Tuchel is not a coach who is heavily influenced by the media, I still think that, considering all of Jude Bellingham's attributes, his ability to score in different situations, his movement, running into the box, his creativity, even if he doesn't operate as a 10, you would want Jude Bellingham on your side. Especially when there are tight situations, when they need a goal in the last minute. He's proven himself, very efficient in that in that crucial period of time. He's not someone who shies away from pressure. He's not someone who disappears when things are tough. And that's not something I can say for any of the other number 10s, maybe with the exception of Morgan Rogers. So I think Cole Palmer is nailed on. I think Eze, as Yao said quite rightly, most likely will come in as a winger. But then I think Jude Bellingham is also nailed on. As for the striker position, I think Welbeck should be in there, and that's just about it.
Okay. I'll take some messages that's in relation to what we are discussing. It says, Kwame says, so Harry Kane will win the Ballon d'Or before Lewandowski and Haaland. Okay.
Robbed. Let's never forget that. And the next year he was given the best striker award.
Charlie, they created a new award. Just to placate him.
That best striker. It happened in subsequent years, right?
Subsequent year, the year after the COVID. And the reason they called it off was silly. Like, they can't have the event in person. Whereas every other major event that year was done, how do you call it? Online. So it's
okay.
Also.
Farouk versus the world says Harry Kane can't win the because he doesn't have a strong PR. Okay. All those who have won the Ballon d'Or in recent times do a lot of PR, and they get ex-players involved in their PR. Okay. Sweet Kwame says some fans want Tuchel to take one-game wonder Max Daumann to the World Cup.
Yeah, I saw that coming up. In
England, the Arsenal fans.
It's not just the Arsenal fan. I think it's an England thing. Like there's a
because
as soon as someone has 2, 3, 4 games of form, the first
he should get into the squad,
and that's how they kill their own time.
That's why I believe in Thomas Tuchel so much, because he will see past all that fluff.
Yeah, he will fall for it.
He will see past all that fluff. I mean, you have pundits in England who are making a legit case that Wayne Rooney is better than Neymar. Bukayo Saka is better than Neymar. Like, how can you take such people? No, I mean, we all have our opinions.
Yeah.
And like I always say, opinions are like noses. But some noses are similar in size and shape. There's no way you can tell me that Bukayo Saka is better than Neymar. Yeah. Why? Didn't we see Neymar play? I saw Wayne Rooney play right from Everton all the way to Man United and back to Everton. There's no way you can tell me that Wayne Rooney was a better player than Neymar.
Okay.
Hell no.
So as Bayern Munich 3, Union Berlin 0. And guess who scored for Bayern? Harry Kane. A play started from
First touch, take it in.
Serge
shot.
Gnabry. I think he found Goretzka. Goretzka just laid in a pass for Harry Kane. The touch from Kane to continue with the execution was top notch. Charlie, I think he's perfected that.
Space. In tight space,
Yeah.
just one touch.
Yeah,
And
he doesn't do too much.
it created that space for him
Look
to
at
be able
it.
to just kill the ball into the net. Or
Exactly.
bang the ball into the net.
The other goal that was trending from last week, the way he weaved his way through the defenders and just hit the strike. Look, I think he's perfected that. Let me get back to the messages. Sweet Kwame says, Olise or Eze, who is better? This is
Olise
why
is
I
better.
always say
Olise
Olise is better. Okay. Welbeck is good at pressing. Hey. Which of the Welbeck are you watching? Welbeck pressing? I don't see him do much. I'll tell you. Brighton, sweet Kwame. All right. It says Tuchel doesn't want to take Madrid players like Trent and Bellingham to the World Cup. Okay, Welbeck is better than Calvin Lewis and Solanke.
I agree.
In terms of experience, yeah, you want to say that. Foden one goal coming from a City fan. Okay, Palmer is not on form. Yao Mingta, Palmer also struggles at England. Okay, I think I read that. Rogers,
And we all disputed it.
yeah.
Not disputed it.
Rogers and it says Rogers and Anderson better than Palmer and Foden this season.
But who said that?
Rogers and
No one said
Anderson.
it. No one said
yeah,
that
we
they are
agree. We've
better.
not
I
said
mean,
that yet.
Anderson,
Foden.
that one to be
We've not said the
comparing
latter is
apples to
yeah.
oranges.
So
yeah.
No
I
one
mean,
said no.
different
no,
positions. No one said that.
No,
but
no one said it in the first place.
exactly.
It's not like we even compared. We never compared.
Exactly.
No one said that.
Yeah.
But before you even continue, I just
Yeah.
want to make a point. You know, I think about 3 weeks ago, people were saying y'all had an agenda against Chelsea. But now,
Yesterday, when he wore the Chelsea jersey for Ghana, it was yesterday, right?
Yeah, yes.
Can't see the boys for YouTube. I ignore lots of the messages. Someone said, "How can this guy hate Chelsea and still be wearing?" I'm like, "What? I say hate is a strong word."
It is a very
Yeah, I told you.
So,
Hate
Chelsea.
And that's- so because he's doing our objective analysis and he's
Yeah, I
saying
hate
things that he
Chelsea.
doesn't,
I
you don't
think it
want
was
to
far
hear.
more the objective was pinpoint, because if you look at Chelsea's performance, they were heavily
It
defeated.
was
over
there.
2
It
legs.
was there. So,
over 2
You see,
legs. So now,
and it was all based on what? The defensive mistakes and goalkeeping issues. Look
Just
at the
as
2
you
legs. How did they concede goal?
Yeah.
Was it because the strikers weren't good enough or the midfielders weren't good enough? It was because defensive mistakes,
yeah.
goalkeeping issues. Look at
It happened.
is it Jorgensen?
Yeah.
Look at that goal he gifted to Vitinha. Yes, Vitinha did brilliantly well to
to lob
get
it
that
over
goal.
him.
But if that unnecessary pass didn't go through, would he have had the chance to score the goal he scored?
Okay, back to the messages. Ken Mark says, Palmer has been mid this season. He doesn't offer anything. I agree with the former. I don't agree with the latter. Audi YP6IP says, Eze can nowhere beat Bowen on the wings. Eze is good quality, but Bowen is a much better player. It's unfortunate
Wow.
he plays for West Ham.
Wow. Just to quickly touch on that 10 issue. I'm surprised Eze
Guys,
is
people them observations.
Different. We are all watching the same game, but seeing it in a different.
I'm surprised Eze isn't being considered for the 10 role, because I think if you look at the impact that he's had for Arsenal, especially when contrasted with what Odegaard does sometimes when he's on the field, I think he's been very impactful from the 10 position. I get what
From the 10
from the 10
position.
position. I get the point I was making about how Palmer is entirely different, because I think Rodgers plays really well in the 10, but he brings more energy and athleticism, and Palmer is just this instant creativity, and that's why I think Eze almost combines the best element. I don't think he's as good physically as maybe what Rodgers can offer, definitely, but I think since he's moved from Palace to Arsenal, his work rate has had to go up, increase, and that's where I wonder how he'll fit the team. But if you look at it, there's still so many options for so many different positions, especially the forward line. Like we're saying, for the backup to Harry Kane,
Yeah.
I'm really pleased for Calvert-Lewin. I think that's because he, moving from Everton after the season he'd had last season, he struggled a lot with injury. So to move to Leeds United, to go on the run that he did, I think he scored in 6 Premier League games in a row, which is, for a striker of like not playing for a top level team,
Yeah.
that's impressive. And he's been able to get back into the England team. He had this really good line in his interview where he was like, "What is meant for you won't pass you by." So to see these, obviously it doesn't always work like that,
Team for you.
but to to see like the manifestations of his hard work paying off for him is good. But I don't know, like you said, because of how expanded the squad is, I don't know how many people within the squad are actually basically going to have a shot. There are certain people that aren't really in there, like someone like Jason Steele. He hasn't played in the Premier League this season.
Yeah.
I think the word on him is he's probably going to go as maybe as a training coach for the other coach for the other keeper.
Yeah,
that
so instead on trial to be the fourth goalkeeper.
And someone like Ramsdale, I don't know how I think the move to Newcastle has been very helpful for him, because he had a unfair reputation as a relegation guy. But now that he's playing for a top level team, even though he's a backup to Nick Pope, I think he's been able to at least improve his shot of going how to get into the tournament.
Yeah.
But if you remember him, he was the guy at the last Euros.
Yeah.
He came out publicly and said he wants to play for England. He wants to be England number 1. And that's when David Raya came in. He didn't really play for Arsenal again. And since then, his international career has sort of gone completely downhill. So to see him, but like I keep saying, this is an expanded squad. This is just trying to cover cross all T's and dot all I's, just to make sure that anyone that we're considering who we think has a chance is in there. It doesn't necessarily mean that at the level that you will be the final choice. And I think there are certain players who have a better shot of making it than others.
Okay. Let me take some messages on WhatsApp. Ekiaba says, good afternoon, Republic of Football. Listening to you live inside Accra, Newtown. God bless you guys for the good work. My regards to Manuel. Okay. Elvis from Kibi says, as it stands, there are no differences between Slot and Motuado. The only difference is one is fair and the other is that. How can you say this? So somebody from
Otto has a beard. That's the
I shocked it.
but very, very few differences.
Otto has been to the World Cup. Arne Slot, has he coached a team to the World Cup?
Arne Slot has won a league title.
Has he coached a team to the World Cup
won a league
before?
title.
No. Has he coached a team to the World Cup
No, but
before?
it's just qualification.
He's coached a team to the World Cup.
We are not having this argument.
No,
They are both not good. I don't have
he
to
has
defend one.
coached a team to the World Cup.
Well, they are all performing in different realms. Yeah,
But he has coached a team to the World Cup.
One has won a Premier League title.
We can't say that.
Won a preseason tournament.
I haven't said it otherwise.
Okay. Sammy from Kofodia says, good afternoon. To be honest, I haven't seen anything impressive from Arne Slot so far. I would love to see him sacked. Last season, it was Klopp who won the league, not him.
Thank you.
He's had a lot of leeway.
Thank you so much.
As a Liverpool fan, I actually
time
had
for
to hear that,
results.
because I would have preferred for Klopp to be there to win the league title. So the fact that it's Slot and then everyone wants to refer to
It's
the
Klopp,
fact that
it was
Klopp would
Klopp's
have won it.
materials.
Also me.
He's had his chance and it's time for a change. Liverpool needs a fresh approach and he isn't delivering. Danilo says Liverpool defenders are always expecting a foul or offside if they concede comically. Okay. Man Sankara from Nungwa says Liverpool's problem is not Slot. Liverpool's problem is our defensive midfielder position. Our DM position is weak and it's exposing our defenders. Gravenberch forgets he's a DM in most of our games. Liverpool need a hard tackler like I said. Hey!
I wanted to go back to this
You've
point.
mentioned his name again.
Go back to this point.
Kai said-
That was one of the problems with Liverpool's recruitment. There was a summer where they identified that area as a problem, and they went all out and they tried to get Caicedo. And even though they didn't get Caicedo, they lost out to Chelsea because Chelsea offered more money. They ended up getting Enzo. I made this point. They got Endo for 20 million.
Wataru, yeah.
Wataru Endo for 20 million, and they've never since signed a player for that role. That makes sense. So they went from Endo didn't work, and then they tried to transition that to Gravenberch, who was an 8, and then me to play a 6. And it's, I think, solid for their defensive solidity. If they could get a proper number 6, someone who could actually.
But none of the season is almost over. Who would you recommend? When you just do a quick scan around. Chouameni. How much Chouameni? How much do you think we would be going for?
I think Bayetic. They had the kid Bayetic when he was.
You don't like the
he's too
Brighton.
small.
You don't like Ballon
Budget.
from Brighton.
No, Baleba. Looking at him, I think Liverpool will be too big of a proposition for him. Because even when he began to hear the rumors that United would be interested in him, you saw how poorly he was playing.
The form dipped.
The form dipped. The form dipped drastically, as if he had forgotten how to play football. So I think Anfield would be a step too far.
Okay.
I think he needs to get comfortable enough at a team like Brighton to the point where a move to a higher echelon of football
Wouldn't shake him.
wouldn't intimidate him.
I'm struggling a bit with the defensive midfielder thing because I can only think of old players, but I would think of someone in the mode of more variety. But also, there was a point where when Klopp was using Thiago in that position, even though he wasn't fit, his own wasn't necessarily being, how they call it, defensively. So I mean, he can move around and he can press a bit, but
you
the
need
speed
that
of motion,
physicality.
the speed of motion when he has the ball, how he's able to start play from the back meant that they weren't always under pressure. And sometimes he had Fabinho stepping into, how they call it, just interchanging a bit. So while sometimes Thiago comes back and he starts to play, but then when it comes from a defensive point of view, when we lose the ball, Fabinho is the person who is going to be in the sixth position and clean up in between Van Dijk and Konate. So
the Baleba thing, just a quick one before you go back to the messages. The Baleba thing, I don't see it happening
to Liverpool.
To Liverpool, yeah.
Would he paying 100 million to start with? Again,
would he be tactically disciplined if he moves to Liverpool?
You
Because that's what he will need to be.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what prevents me from being very confident in saying, or don't come in, let's say, Baleba to Liverpool, Baleba to Man United, because of the lack of tactical discipline. He takes way too many risks.
We saw that at the AFCON.
Yes, especially as a DM, you can't be doing that. Let the guy who plays off you do that, not you. And if you're going to do that, then you have to be super, super, super good at it. And he's not good at it yet. So for me, the DM, the guy who will be on the top of everyone's wish list for the top teams, for Man City, Man United, because clearly Rodri is not what he used to be.
Yeah.
For Man City, Man United, Liverpool, it will be Elliot Anderson. That's why Nottingham Forest,
I see.
they will cash out big time this off season. It's Elliot Anderson. On top of that, he's English too, so it helps with the quota.
Yeah.
This is unlikely, but if they could go to PSG and get either João Neves or Vitinha, that could.
You know how much you're talking about, right?
I mean, it depends on how long's left on their contract, and I think once you win the Champions League at PSG,
how old is João Neves? 26.
No,
he's
João
much
Neves will
younger.
be out 22.
20.
He's much younger, and
The other chap.
Vitinha is
Vitinha
2000.
is a bit older because he came over to the
Vitinha will be
EPL,
like
played for Wolves,
25, 26.
moved
Vitinha
over to Portugal before he went to.
Vitinha will be about
PSG,
26. He was born in 2000.
I think that's why you could tell that sound like Zubimendi when Arsenal were going in for him, they had to pay about
So
17 million.
Neves is 21.
Yeah.
Neves is he's young,
kid,
and
yeah.
I think the problem they
He
signed him on a
doesn't play
long-term
like
contract.
21.
Very mature in his
I
game.
see.
But you
Impressive.
know, to weigh in on that defensive midfielder thing, I think for each team, even though nowadays every team has that 6, at every point in time in a team's evolution, they develop a certain archetype of a 6 that they want. So when you say a 6, do you mean the Chouameni type? Do you mean like an Axel Witsel? Do you mean what sort of player do you want? Exactly. So
it's evolved. That
So-
role has evolved, right?
So you see,
get
when
different breeds.
when Pep is looking for a 6, Pep will look for a Busquets, Pep will look for a Rodri, he will look for, even now with Nico Gonzalez, even though it's not that great. And even in a few seasons past when Rodri was injured and he tried to incorporate Kovacic into that role, it didn't work out. Not because Kovacic is not a good player.
I've forgotten he even exists.
Not because Kovacic is not a good player. He's a great player. We've seen him. But he does not fit in Pep's archetype of a 6. Because the number 6 role is not just one type of player. So at Liverpool, I think in the past few years, in the past, let's say, 7-8 years, their best DM has been Fabinho. So you need to find that sort of guy.
That guy really did some damage for Liverpool on the club.
That sort of gangling guy who, I mean, not very fast, but I mean, still strong, athletic, able to win the ball back, stick a foot in, make a good long pass. That sort of an all-action CDM. So they don't need, let's say, as Angelo was saying, maybe. Who did you say, by Chetic and all that? I don't think they need that sort of a DM. I think if they are looking for a 6, they need to look for someone as similar to Fabinho as they can.
If I can come in, I agree with that, but I think there's with the modern TM now, you also see it with how they call it with goalkeepers now. You don't necessarily have goalkeepers that can just catch and goalkeepers that can just pass. Now you're having a balance where it's almost like he's better with his feet than he is with goalkeeping, or he's better at saving than he is with catching. And I think that's something similar that's happening to the 6 rule, where you have. That's why I use initially I used Thiago and Verratti.
Okay.
Very, I'd say, similarly built players, but they both interpret the role differently. And I think the modern application of that would probably be Rodri, someone who can win the ball back, isn't afraid to stop a tackle, and is still able to progress the ball as a player. And that's where I think we need to try and find someone who can complete that role well. I get the budgeted thing, maybe because of his size and his lightness, it'll be hard for him to be the physically impose himself in midfield. But that's where I think that maybe if he isn't necessarily the only player there, and tactically you find a game where maybe you realize that we won't be under pressure as much if they're sitting in a low block. Maybe rather than have a midfielder who is going to break up play, maybe we can have a more, how to call it, progressive 6 in our midfield, rather than having someone who's necessarily going to break up play. We can have how to call it, all ball playing players, so that when we go in front of a low block, we can still break them down.
Okay. All right, so now this is what we are going to do. I'm going to run you through the scores from the league center, major European leagues. Let's start off in Germany. Bayern Munich are 3-0 up against Union Berlin. FC Cologne 2, Borussia Mönchengladbach 3. Bayer Leverkusen also beating Heidenheim by 2-1. Then Wolfsburg taking on Werder Bremen is goalless between the two sides. Later 5:30, there is Borussia Dortmund up against Hamburger SV. Cremonense, they beat Parma by 2-0 in the Italian Serie A. So good win for Cremonense. When you look at the other games from the Italian Serie A, AC Milan will take on Torino later 5 p.m. and then Juventus up against Sassuolo at 8 p.m. in the Italian Serie A. For the French Liga, is Toulouse up against Lyon. AG Auxerre taking on Brest. Bayern have scored a 4th goal against Union Berlin. It's like Bayern are running riots over Union Berlin. Berlin proving to be just pushovers. Okay, I think that came from Serge Gnabry. Yeah, that's a good hit. Yeah, so Serge Gnabry giving Bayern a 4th goal. What it means is that the 3 front attackers have all scored, right? Olise has scored, Gnabry has scored, Harry Kane. Actually, what an attack! Yeah, so it's Bayern 4, Union Berlin 0. In the German Bundesliga. Let me get back to some of the games coming up later today. If you're a big fan of the Championship, Leicester City are in action. They are taking on Watford. Let me see if we have our 2 Ghanaian players starting for Leicester. Leicester actually missed a penalty through passing Daka. Charlie, Leicester City. So Fatau Isaku is starting, but Jordan Ayew is on the bench. I think this is about the 4th game Jordan has not started for Leicester City. That's worrying.
Our captain,
he's a Black Stars striker.
Our captain.
I mean, I thought we've already moved past the argument where we've all accepted that Jordan is probably not going to be leading the line at the World Cup.
Who would be leading? Brandon Thomas Asante?
I think obviously we keep talking about
how Victoria Pilsen guy. We have issues.
We are talking about Premier League, but at home
we really have a lot going on. Like it's that glaring.
If let's say Kudus is supposed to be eased into the team because of his injury issues, and it takes me back to that whole Cole Palmer thing that one of the texters mentioned.
Yeah. That
he's not on form. It's possible like he might get dropped or something of that sort. Let's switch it and put Kudus in that position. Kudus isn't on form and he's coming off an injury. Are you saying that we are going to the World Cup without Kudus being in the squad?
Nope.
He'll be there.
Exactly.
He goes.
Cole Palmer is in that same spot. Yeah. He will go. So let's say Kudus is being eased into the team. And Jordan I used to be dropped to the bench, and he has to start from the bench. Do we have options? Yeah, we do have options, because there's Semenyo, there's Brandon Thomas Asante in there, and ideally I would like to start him from the bench. But in such a scenario, Fatah Oshaku can play as a inverted winger on the right side. Then you have Semenyo on the left. Then you have Thomas Asante on the inside. If Iñaki Williams can pick up his form a little bit towards the end of the season, then I'll pick him ahead of Thomas Asante to start to the middle, because Iñaki Williams is a good header of the ball, and he's he offers a bigger physical threat up front. Yeah, you need that. At some point, you need that, because Thomas Asante's biggest asset is his speed, and Iñaki Williams has super speed.
Okay.
So in that sense, you need a little bit extra to be able to get it done. So yeah, for Jordan, I don't see him starting in this team. If Kudus is around, he recovers and he starts to improve on his form, that makes things easy. You put Kudus on the right side, you put Semenyo on the left, then you can play Iñaki Williams or Thomas Asante to the middle with Ishaku coming off the bench.
Okay. Yeah, so I was running through the starting 11 for Leicester City and also the scores from the championship. So let me take you back to that. So Jordan Ayew is not starting for Leicester City. Leicester are playing goalless with Watford. Southampton are beating Oxford by 2-0. Oxford United, yes. So Sheffield and Wrexham is goalless between the two sides. QPR taking on Portsmouth. 3 in favour of QPR, so 3-1. Hull City are beating Sheffield United by 2-1. Charlton Athletic are losing to Norwich. Bristol City are losing to West Bromwich Albion. And then there is also Ipswich playing out a 1-0 draw with Millwall. Derby County are taking on Birmingham City. Derby County beating Birmingham by 1-0 in that game. Blackburn are taking on, they played out a goalless draw with Middlesbrough. So yeah, Blackburn playing out a goalless draw with Middlesbrough. Let me see with the EPL. Fulham are taking on Burnley. Goalless. Brighton earlier today beats Liverpool by 2-1. Sorry. Later 5:30, there's Everton taking on Chelsea, and then Leeds up against Brentford in that game. You can send in your thoughts 0539 986 996. That's the WhatsApp line 0539 986 996. Yeah, you can also leave your thoughts on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, yeah, you can leave your thoughts there. A few comments have come in again. Says Black Stars captain playing the championship. Sweet Kwame says maybe Jordan and Fatah will go to League One. Our DYP 6IP. Mano, you want to react to that?
Yeah, and the thing it's shocking because I feel like they've been just at the edge for a long bit. So right now, even now, I think they are just a point out of the relegation zone. If they were able to win today,
I thought they were docked points. I think they've not really won a game like that.
Like they just need to win 2 games and they're probably not in this. The teams around them are not doing too well.
Yeah.
West Brom, Portsmouth, those teams are not winning games either. I think West Brom are losing now. So to just that's what, and they are better than this. This was a team that was in the Premier League last season. Am I confusing that?
Yeah, they are.
That's a team that was recently in the Premier League at least.
Yeah.
So they make the slight mistake when they came down the first time. I think they sold most of their good players. They sold Dewsbury Hall. They sold players and thought they could just build a championship team and then get back. And I think the team that they brought back to the Premier League wasn't good enough to stay in the Premier League. And now that they've gone down, they're realizing that it probably wasn't good enough. For the championship as well. But obviously without the points deduction, they probably won't be going down. But they have, by their own standard, they've had quite a poor season.
Okay, let's take our second break. When we come back, there's more to talk for you, and then at 4:30 we'll activate the phone lines, and then you can call us and also share your thoughts with us. I'm Gabriel Fair. This is the Republic of Football 97.3. Here we are, Jamie Intact, Kobe Obane, and Manola Angelo Kwachi. We'll be back after this. the Republic of Football, 97.3. We are live on YouTube, City Sports Ghana, City FM as well. I'm Gabi Affair. The show is airborne Saturday, Sunday, every weekend. And this is your place for everything European football talk. So run you through the updates, next with analysis, reactions from the managers as well. And also we take your thoughts on the show every Saturday, Sunday. To send your comments, your messages, send it to this number 0539986996 0539986996. I'm Gabi Affair. Today I've got Yahweh Jeminta with me, Kobe Obane, Manuel Angelo Kwache. Those are the voices that you've been hearing from 2 p.m. all the way to now. At 4:30, would activate the phone lines. Then you can also share your thoughts. Someone on YouTube says, JKX, he says, who is watching Athakon versus Olize? We've seen that action already. Olise is always going to go past him, though.
As we've closed our eyes. We don't want to see again.
Guys, I want us to quickly talk about Fulham Burnley real quick. I know that game can be it's actually boring. It's goalless though, but I'm sure there are some Fulham and Burnley fans around. Or maybe they've got some soft spot for the two teams though. Fulham are playing at the Craven Cottage. Burnley are the visitors. So Fulham started with a 4-2-3-1 formation. Ben Leno imposed a back four of Timothy Castagne, Anderson, Calvin, Bassi, and Robinson as the left back. They've got Alexi Wobi also starting for Fulham today. Sander Berge is also playing there. Oscar Bob is starting. King, Wilson, and Rodrigo. Rodrigo is leading the attack. Rodrigo Muniz is leading the attack for Fulham. On the part of Burnley, Martin Dubravka is the goalkeeper. It's a 4-2-3-1 on the part of the Toffees. A back four of Hartman, Esteve, Humphreys, and Carl Walker. Laurent is partnering James Ward-Prowse in midfield. Anthony Hannibal Mejbri, Foster, Lau Foster, he's a South African. And then Fleming for Burnley. Is that Fulham going to score? Okay, they missed their chance.
Never mind.
They missed their chance. So Burnley taking on Fulham. Scott Parker is the manager for Burnley, and then Marco Silva for Fulham. In terms of who is occupying where, let me get that one for you. So Fulham are 12 on the table, 42 points. They have won the last 2 out of 5 matches played. They scored 40 goals and have conceded 43, so they have a goal difference of -3. Yeah, and on the part of Burnley, they are in the red zone, so 21 points. Burnley have scored 32 and have conceded 58. In terms of the goal difference, they have -26. So yeah, that's it regarding where the two teams are occupying. Kobe, just quick word on these two teams. On the part of Burnley, that I really don't think that they would escape the drop, because I look at West Ham United as 8 good points separating they and West Ham United. West Ham are occupying 18th on the table, so West Ham do have 29 points. Burnley do have 21. And just to help your analysis, maybe I want to run you through the number of games left to play for Burnley, so that we'll know if they can get some good points. So now it means that they actually have to do 8 more points, and those 8 points, can they get it out of Brighton? That is their next game. Maybe we can know answer. Looking at the way Brighton is playing, would they get at it more?
No,
that should be difficult. They take on Forest next at the City ground.
At the City ground, even more difficult.
And then they have City at the Turf Moor. They welcome Leeds.
Leeds will be desperate.
So they go to Leeds, Bramall Lane, to take on Leeds. Elland Road.
Elland
I
Road.
always say Bramall Lane. I don't know.
That's Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then they are back at home at the Turf Moor to take on Aston Villa.
Aston Villa, no.
They travel to the Emirates to take on Arsenal.
Certainly not.
Arsenal would be at a time wrapped up
Desperate.
or
Or desperate to
Oh, yeah,
ensure
to
that
need
they've
point.
won the. So no.
okay. And then the last game,
Burnley Wolves. As for Wolves,
Charlie,
at
that
this-
game, I'm not sure they should play. Yeah, because Wolves are gone,
Yeah.
and Burnley, yeah, I'm sure that time they would also be gunners.
You know, I find it so amazing how the Premier League manages to put these fixtures together, because they are more or less predetermined from the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And they are always so exciting because we know that some of these games will be 6-pointers and even 9-pointers. Because Forest Burnley, that's a big game at the bottom of the table. Leeds United Burnley, huge game. Burnley Wolves on the last day of the season. Well, I mean, I think by the last day of the season we already know who we relegated and who's staying up.
Yeah.
Right now, the only position that's in contention is from, let's say, 16th to 18th or 15th to 18th, and then but apart from that, 19th and 20th are more or less set in stone. So I think Burnley and Wolves at this point in time are just playing for pride. They are just praying. They are just playing, to at least make it known that yes, we are out, but we are not completely terrible, and they want to set the tone for the next season in the championship, because they'll be hoping, yes, we are going down, but we want to come right back up.
pretty soon.
Exactly. So they don't want to drop off completely. There are some teams where at a point in time they realize, okay, this is where we are going to finish. So they're already on the beach. So they just step onto the pitch, concede 4, 5, 6, and all of that. And then because they think at the end of the day it's all the same relegation. But at a point in time, you also have to show that you're also a professional footballer. You're a professional team. It's just that things have gone wrong, but we are still good. Because players will also be thinking, if the team goes down, there would have to be massive pay cuts. The club will have to tighten their belt, and players will have to move. So you, with the way you play from now to the end of the season, will determine where you go. Whether you go to a Premier League club, or you stay at your club that used to be Premier and is now a championship team, or you move to another league. So it's really all up to the players. Because Wolves right now, even though they've had an awful season, we can still pinpoint certain players who have been very good for them, like Mateus Mane, like Joao Gomez.
He's had everybody talking. I think the Wolves fans are in awe of what he's done for the club.
Exactly.
He's 19 years old.
Yes. So even though they are going to get relegated, I don't expect him to stay in the championship with Wolves. I expect him to be picked up by a Premier League club or by a big club elsewhere. Apart from that, Joao Gomez, Santiago Bueno, they've shown heart, they've shown ability. So even though the season is more or less over for them, they are putting themselves in the window to be snapped up in the summer. And I think that's a good thing for the Burnley players. They're a plucky side. They are energetic, they are physically strong, but at the end of the day, physical ability cannot cover for a lack of technical ability. You putting a shoulder in, putting an elbow in, at a point in time you'll be exposed, because you can't put the ball on the ground, because you don't have good finishers, because you don't have proper midfield technicians. And that is what has happened to them this season. Because even in this game, Fulham have had some very good chances, and Dubravka has come in clutch for them. But I think at the end of this game, Fulham will come away with all 3 points at home, and then Burnley will still be on 20 points.
Okay.
And I think in maybe about 2 or 3 games, their relegation will be confirmed, and they will can prepare for the next season in the championship.
Okay. Kwaje, you have a few things to say about the two teams.
Yeah, they haven't played interesting football, which is a shame. And I think it's reflective of how they call it, where they both find themselves, within the table. I don't think obviously Burnley are trying to avoid relegation, but I don't think there's been, not like there hasn't been ambition, but I don't think these are the clubs who were at the start of the season who probably thought they would be making a push, and I think it's shown in some of their form. I think Fulham before December they were slowly creeping towards the relegation zone. But since then, they've been able to go on a good run of them. I'd put that in part due to the form of Harry Wilson. I think he's having his personal best season ever in the Premier League. I think he has 7 goals, and he's double figures for goals and assists, and I think that in itself is interesting. The thing about him is his contract runs out at the end of the season. I'm wondering whether he's considering maybe a return to one of the bigger clubs. If you look at his how he's played since when he was at Liverpool, I think that's when I thought maybe he could break into the national team, and that's when he could break into the Liverpool team. And unfortunately for him, he never really got the opportunity over there. He's been more important for his national team, playing for Wales, I think, in the absence of Gareth Bale. So since Gareth Bale has moved away from the national team, I think he's been one of the more notable players, mainly because of his technical ability. I think when you look at the way he strikes the ball and how he's able to create chances from deep, he's always going to be that player that's eye-catching. Yeah. So I can understand why it went that way. And whilst I say that, Fleming has just scored for Burnley.
Oh wow! He's been the man in form for.
Yeah, he missed a really good opportunity earlier in the game already. So to see him,
I think in the last, let me say,
so he scored against Chelsea.
Games,
he scored against Chelsea. In the game against Brentford, he scored, got the equalizer for them, and now he scored against Fulham as well.
So that's 3 goals in the last 5 games, I believe.
Burnley they've actually been more impressive than teams get them. I think in the latter part of the season, the start of the season, I think they were trying too hard to have their own not necessarily style of play, but they were trying too hard to do things the way they had done in the previous season. I think both managers, both Marco Silva and sorry, I forgot the Burnley manager's name.
Scott Parker.
Scott Parker. Yeah, he's been able to show some proper adaptation since he's been in the league. I think the problem with them, I always say, was the recruitment that they made. I think Jade Anthony is a good signing, but some of the other signings didn't really make sense to me. I think Kyle Walker, while he comes with the experience part, I think he's past what he can give to you on the field. Obviously, maybe while at Burnley, he's still one of the best players there, but I think if you are going to have a player who's going to be one of the mainstays of your team, and if you look at how Kyle Walker's speed has sort of left him, I don't think necessarily that he was because they were trying to get the experience head in, and I don't think necessarily that he was a player that they should have gone for. I think if you look at the player that he also signed from Chelsea, Armando Broja, I've made the point that I don't think he's a consistent goal scorer. I don't think he brings enough as a threat. And to go and spend 20 million from one of the big teams in the Premier League, and have him as one of your mainstay strikers, and he is injury prone. Like, there are so many things that I think they should have looked at that
they overlooked.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've had a few good ones. So I think if you look at Hannibal, he was with them in the Championship last year, right? And then he came up with them. He was a good recruitment. Getting him from Man United, he looks like he's been able to have an impact on the team, but I don't think that impact is necessarily going to help them stay up. But I'm still making the point that I don't think Burnley are relegated yet. Like,
okay, it's 8 points now between they and West Ham.
With this win,
no.
So with this win,
winning it's now 5 points.
Take them to 5 points. That's 2 results.
Have you seen Burnley's next lineup of fixtures?
No, I haven't seen Burnley's next. But maybe if you can give me Burnley's next lineup, maybe that'll have an impact on what I think
mentioned
about
that.
Next
game is against Brighton.
Yeah, I mentioned that for Club now.
Aston Villa.
Yeah, they have some slightly difficult fixtures coming up. Yeah, so Brighton, Forest, City, Leeds, Aston Villa, Arsenal, Wolves last game.
I think there are some winnable games in there. I see Brighton, I see Wolves.
Winnable?
Yeah, I see. So, I mean, this is remember when Sunderland won 7 out of 9 at the end of the season to stay up? And Leicester, the season before they won the league, they went on one of
Ralph Hasen Hotel.
No, on Sunderland, I think that was on the
Sunderland, yeah.
Big Sam.
I was
Big Sam, yeah. Southampton to.
I mistook them for Southampton.
And how do you call it? When Leicester also when they were under Nigel Pearson, the season before they won the league, they had this crazy run.
Yeah.
How do you call it? Even I don't remember if the win against United was in that run. When they beat United 5-3, or that was the bigger part of the season. But they had some significant results, and I don't think necessarily they went into the games looking at the opponent, because if you go and look at the opponent, obviously that's where they struggled all season. But if you go and you play without fear and you realize that we need to win this game, we have 2-3 games to save ourselves, I think it's very possible. The problem that they have is I thought they were running out of teams that they could catch. So looking at the table, I would say it was only probably West Ham already in the relegation zone. So I saw it was probably Nottingham Forest and Spurs. Unless Spurs are as bad as they've been this season, which would be very surprising. Let's assume that the coming back of Mohamed Kudus will have a positive impact on the team, and they can win some key games. I don't think Spurs can continue to be as bad as they've been in the league. Okay. At least they're still winless in the league this year, right?
Yeah. They're still winless in 2026 in the league, but they've won
they've won the Champions League, but they haven't won a single game in the league. That can't continue. If I'm right, every other team in the league has won a game this year.
You have like 3 wins or 2 wins or something like that to brag about.
Exactly. So I don't think that Spurs can, like I keep saying, I don't think Spurs can continue to be this bad. And Nottingham Forest are also hoping that by the appointment of Vitor Pereira, they are also going to have a new manager bounce, which hasn't really come yet. But sometimes it takes a while for these things to kick in. Even with Nuno when he was at West Ham, if you notice, when he came in, there wasn't much of an impact. Then they had a sweet spell, and now it looks like it's reverted back to the normal. But the problem is downtown is many teams that they can catch. But if you go on a run of games, if you can win 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row, you can get yourself out to the relegation zone. Okay. And I think that's all they need to tell themselves. They just need to keep motivating themselves that as bad as they thought they were, they are not that far out of reach. And if they can just win 2 or 3 more games, they still have a chance.
Well, let's see if Burnley can survive. Manuel Angelo breaking it down, tying it to teams who have been in this spot before in past seasons and have been able to escape the drop. Maybe Burnley can follow on that part, etch their name into history books of the PL. One of the teams to have salvaged maximum points with 6-7 games to go.
To be fair, I mean, even Wolves haven't been relegated
yet. I'm sure
yet.
Scott Parker will be the happiest.
Yeah, I mean, because...
What do you think the Fulham people will do with him? If he's able to do that, back him with more signings or let him go. Or
I mean, Burnley.
Burnley.
No, but like last season, he had a standout season. Right, they got 100 points. I think that's the record for the championship. They and Leeds and Burnley both got 100 points.
Yeah,
and now he already has a body of work that shows that he's been a successful championship manager before. So now, if he's able to take the next step and show them that, yes, I can adapt and I can build a team in the Premier League. Because as much as he has been backed, I think they spent over 100 million this summer. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's been backed properly. Like some of these, like half of these players were players that they thought they needed to sign because they're a Premier League team now. So these are the type of players that we signed that can help us retain our Premier League status, and that hasn't necessarily turned out to be the case. And since he's stripped it down, he found the players who work for him and he's gone for it. Mm-hmm. They've been able to pick up some positive results. If you even look at the Brentford game that they lost, that was quite disappointing because they brought the game back to 4-4. They had that goal disallowed, and then at the end of the game too, I think they thought they had won it, and that goal was disallowed too before Brentford were able to score a last minute winner. So there have been different games. Even the game against, I think, was the Wolves. They've had different games where they've actually been in the game and they've actually been good. So in terms of Scott Parker, I think he just needs to like I keep saying, just wash everything down, rain them down, get them back to basics. Become hard to beat and try and win win games with the opportunities that you have. You don't necessarily have to go out and try and take the game to the opponent and try and control the game and think that's how necessarily you need to make an impact. Fulham have equalized though. So that was quite short lived. But still, if they're able to win games, they can solidify their position. So now it's up to them to go and win games. And it looks like in this game, I think it was Josh King. Okay. I think it was Josh King. The look on the Bravka's face suggests that he may have played a part. He may have played a part in it.
Okay, so the attack started on the left.
Look at Calvin Bassey.
Calvin Bassey.
That's a wonderful ball.
In there. Oh my goodness!
That's
the timing from the goalkeeper Dubravka.
That's a terrible.
I don't know what he's doing.
Martin Dubravka. I think he got the ball went through his legs. Yeah. Initially, so he got
I think it took a touch on the ground before.
No. So the ball went through his leg. When Josh King was trying to swing around it, he took a shot the first time, which just went through the left of Dubravka. So it's unsighted the goalkeeper. He was now looking for the ball, and King could just turn around and put the ball in the back of the net. And when you're at the bottom part of the table, these are the most frustrating type of goals to concede. To go 70 minutes defending, keeping out the opponent, and then to concede a goal like this, your whole mentally your spirit could be deflated. So it's depends on how they bounce back from this. But they've had good opportunities in the game. Even Fleming, he had a really good one-on-one header initially before he was able to score. So it's just about creating more chances and seeing whether they can, they can score. But this is actually quite an embarrassing.
The more you watch it,
no, I think because he was anticipating that Josh King would have a touch to the ball.
Yeah,
and so he took his eyes off the ball a little bit.
And then he didn't even hit it well. If Josh King had actually hit it well, Dubravka saves the ball.
Yes, exactly. So he was anticipating that he would be able to make his body as big as possible to potentially make a save. Then with Josh King, was it an air shot or he fluffed it? He ended up not making proper contact with the ball, not making contact with the ball at all. And so the ball just went through Dubravka's legs. And Josh King was in position to... it didn't go through Dubravka's legs cleanly.
Yeah.
It took a touch. So the ball speed slowed down. And Josh King was right there to just sweep the ball home. And so, it's not the prettiest of goals to score or the prettiest of goals to concede. There are some goals that you concede that you just raise your hand and acknowledge the greatness and the quality of the goal.
Okay.
There are some goals that you concede and are very, very frustrating. This is one of them.
Yeah,
especially when you are Burnley and you desperately need the win. This is very frustrating.
For most goals, a lot of things have to go right. But I feel like for this goal, a lot of things had to go wrong in that moment. Like, he also had to misjudge how he thought the ball would... Like, a lot of things went wrong for him. And it's, like you said, it's quite unfortunate because they really needed the result.
Okay. Phone line is activated now. 053996 986 You can call us and let's get talking. If you want to talk about your Arsenal, feel free to do so, because Arsenal are in action later tomorrow against City, the Carabao Cup final at Wembley. Mentee up against mentor. Mikel Arteta and the mentee, Pep, the mentor. People say it's a battle of the minds tomorrow because the result from that game would actually determine the approach from the two sides again when they meet at the Etihad Stadium for the PL clash, the second, the other fixture. It should be good.
I agree that obviously I think you have a mental impact, but I think that part of it has also been a little too emphasized on because it seems a little obvious, if that makes sense. Obviously it will have an impact, but I think that's in the assumption that everyone continues doing what they are doing. Like, there can also be an adjustment to the result, if that makes sense. So if Man City lose it, they can start chasing games more. If Arsenal lose that game, they can if Arsenal lose that game, they can also then decide, Charlie, we're locking down. We don't progress with the ball. 30 minutes, we wait for a corner, we score, we win, we close out the game. Like, there are certain things that can also change based on that result.
Yeah.
And even though obviously you might be disappointed to lose the game, there's also the point that once you lose it now makes the other one, you want the other one more. Obviously, if they win it, they also get a taste for it. They also now feel like they can go on and do more and try it. I think they should win more titles, definitely. But if they lose it, that's when they also realize that, look, we're running out of titles to win. The Champions League is it's a raffle. We don't know who necessarily is going to win that. And if you look at the FA Cup, that's also dependent on who we get in the latter stages. So the league is something that's within our control. If we can win 2-3 games, we can secure it.
Okay. Well, let's see if that can happen. But as we speak, Fulham won, Burnley won. 71 minutes played. Still listening to the Republic of Football 97.3. I'm Gabi Affair. Phone line is activated 0549 986 996 0549 996 996. Chelsea are in action at 5:30. They take on Everton in the PL. Chelsea will be hoping to bounce back after that embarrassment, annihilation at the hands of PSG in the UEFA Champions League. I know Edwin Kwakofu would be all smiles. He'll be backing his team though.
And the deadly striker
has struck.
And the deadly striker,
João Pedro.
Yeah, but Fulham have taken the lead.
Harry Wilson.
Oh, Burnley just couldn't hold on to a point. Harry Wilson doubling Fulham's lead. So Fulham 2.
He's having an incredible
Burnley 1. 73 minutes played. It looks like Burnley will go down. Charlie, watch it. Burnley will go down.
That's what makes the Dubravka error that lets the equalizer the more difficult to take in, because that goal doesn't go in. Yeah, Fulham will get a bit more desperate. They get a little bit indisciplined tactically with their positioning, and
Burnley can go ahead and he's one of the cleanest players in the Premier League.
Harry Wilson has one of the best goals scored this season in the PL. Remember that goal?
The
Outside
one
of
there,
it.
against Crystal
Yeah.
Palace.
Bro, like, it's the way they work the ball into the box.
Even the goal against Tottenham, if you remember, when
Yeah.
Vicario was out of his pole and it came to him and he hit the first time. Like, he has a lot of.
Yeah, I think that goal should stand for one of the. Yeah, because it was really well orchestrated. 054996 996 054996 996. Call us, let's get talking. Share your thoughts on whatever it is. We'd love to hear from the Chelsea fans as well. How prepared. I saw this video of some Chelsea fans who said that they were not going to watch the games again. Yeah.
Is it really that serious?
Yeah, Charlie. People say, Charlie, LinkedIn manager.
Although, how do you think the Chelsea gamble has worked out?
Rosinia.
Yeah, they say he's LinkedIn.
Oh yeah.
When you go to LinkedIn, he's written a lot of things over there.
I mean, if you are
On
someone,
the pitch is A2.
if you are someone
When he
who
just
can,
missed, I think, a chance that they should have.
They should have scored.
They should have scored. It looked it's not a tap in, but I think it's a cutback that was just across the front of the goal, and he sent it over the pole. Ow.
Is that Lau Foster?
Yeah, no, I think it's Laurent. But he's claiming that he got a touch. I don't think he got a
boy.
touch. You hit that hard and low, and you try and score.
Yeah.
Going back to Chelsea, like the owners have made their bed, and may they lie in it, because even with Maresca, they took a risk. They took a manager who was coming in from Leicester City, who's only real in terms of silverware. He had only won the championship, but they took him. I wouldn't say they backed him, but they invested money in the club at the time while he was there, and they were able to get a result from it. And another pattern that we've seen in the Premier League. I don't know if it's just managers who want to get sacked, but you saw it with Amorim, you saw it with with Maresca. I think you've seen it a few other times. The managers coming out and saying that they're not. You've seen it with Glasner, even though he hasn't been sacked yet. He's leaving at the end of the season, so they just decided to not throw the whole season out throw the whole season under the bus and try and salvage what they have left. But if you look at Maresca, his only fault was having ambition. If that makes sense. His only fault was thinking that this is a club that should invest. Like, we have a good squad, let's maintain it. Not necessarily be selling our best players. Let's not always. And then his disagreements with the medical team and all that. But if you look at what Maresca had been able to achieve, it's going to be very difficult if you are not going to hire another top class manager for him to come in and have the same result. And that's always going to be held against Rosinia. Unless he's actually started winning trophies. And that's where, when he had a good run at the start when he came in, I was like, oh, this is good. Like, winning games when there's no pressure under you, that's, as a manager, that's the easy part. Now that you're going into the games where games are decided by one or two decisions, by big moments, by big players, and you need to have these moments to win titles, that's when you're going to be judged, and that's when the pressure is on the most, and that's when you need to react and show that you can deal with these things. And already you're seeing certain things being used against him. Initially, when he came in, if you remember, he had a training session where he put believe on one of his managers' foreheads, and people were taking the piss out of that. When he came in and said he's managing men who age.
He said, I was just about to say it. He said, when you take the word manage, it's man and age. So you are aging men.
And now you look.
like who said, Rosinia or
and then you look at this week, in midweek, when we were losing to PSG, he gave a note to Garnacho to go onto the field. And now that, again, things are not going well, it's being used against him, like, you're losing 8-1 aggregate. Why are you giving a tactical note to you? What are you saying to him?
What at all?
And that's where the narrative around him was always going to be important. And that's the thing where he hasn't yet achieved it. So once you're bringing him into a team like Chelsea, he needs to be him. He needs to be the guy who's coming in and has the system, the style of football, and now has a team that's going to back him to the level that allow him to win trophies. And this is not to say he can't be that. But a team like Chelsea, a team like Man United, a team like Arsenal, if you come in and you are not able to get results immediately, and not able to convince the fans that at the end of the season you are going to be the guy who can win trophies, he's always going to struggle. And that's where I feel like he hasn't been dealt obviously it's not his fault. He would always have wanted the opportunity. Makes sense. And coming in, this is a chance to prove it. But until he actually does it, and that's the thing, I remember this even with Klopp. 4 years into it, 2019, Klopp hadn't won a trophy. They were told that he's a hugs guy. He comes and he gives hugs, and then he goes to finals, and then he goes to finals, and then he gives hugs, and then he pats everyone on the back, and then he goes home. That was his reputation, because he had also lost the Champions League final with Dortmund before he had lost it with Liverpool. Once he won the trophy, everything changed. you will see a very similar narrative happen with Arteta this season. He's going to be seen as a genius and trailblazer once he starts winning the league. They'll start saying he needs to study how he won the league, and teams will start replicating what he does. Now that he hasn't won it, the commentary all around him is that he's trying to, why can't he calm his team down and he's too under pressure?
Yeah.
And that's just how these things work. And that's why I feel like with Rosignol, unless he's able to do that, and I'd have preferred if he could have done it before Chelsea, so that he comes in with a reputation and he's like, this is what I've achieved, this is why you should listen to me. And unfortunately, he'll never be able to do that. So I'm hoping that the best thing he can do is win a trophy early. That's probably where the FA Cup this season can help him.
All right, so that's Liam Rosignol. Let me see. I think the starting 11 is out for the two teams. Chelsea taking on Everton. Robert Sanchez in post for Chelsea. Robbie's back in post. Back for the Chelsea 2 goalkeepers.
And that's their
just
biggest
paid
problem.
for Mania. I don't know why they didn't just pay for Mania in the
And
summer.
that's the biggest problem. You see, they are buying players. It's just like the Tottenham Hotspur situation. They are buying players, but the players aren't improving the team. So
everything is just still like.
So for instance, you know that clearly, and this thing didn't happen just this season. It happened from last season, even 2 years, last 2 seasons.
Yeah, the whole Petrovic.
Thank you. You know that you have a goalkeeping
it was
issue.
Petrovic and who's a
Sanchez, you know that you have.
And we're told that this
so
season he had improved after the Club World Cup. The match against PSG, we're told that he was a different player.
And the thing is, you know that you have a goalkeeping issue. You need to address it. Why are you on earth investing in the wing position when you know that the wing position, you are cool? Why are you investing in the wing position?
Downgrading, in fact.
You are cool. You have Pedro Neto. You brought in Esteval.
Yeah.
They had Pedro Neto, Esteval, and Madueke, and they downgraded that for Garnacho and Gittins.
And you had Garnacho and Gittins. Do you really need, or did they really need to bring in those two guys? If you bring in one because Mikhailo Modric's issue is still up in the air, fine. But at least drop one of those two wingers that you signed and allocate those resources to bring in a proper goalkeeper. How much was Garnacho's bought for?
40 million.
Yep.
40.
But to be fair, didn't they try and go for the AC Milan goalkeeper? That just fell through. I'm just surprised that
the story was that he was also injury prone at the time, and then we're looking at the age.
Yeah,
he's far better than Sanchez.
Sanchez
is far older than him. I get that if you invest, you don't get a keeper, but Sanchez is quite.
You see,
I think Sanchez is 27.
And so in that sense, why are you nitpicking? Because at the end of the day, if you want a top class goalkeeper, you have to pay way more
Sanchez
than.
Is 28.
Yeah, you have to pay way more than what AC Milan were asking for Magnan. And is he a top class goalkeeper? He is. So go in there, spend that money on a goalkeeper, proper goalkeeper.
Spend 52 million on Gittins, like you were saying.
Yeah, like
and
I was saying,
how that money could have been spent on.
No, I don't think AC Milan would have sold.
Don't buy Gittins. Keep half that money.
Keep that money and use it to buy a goalkeeper. So, for instance, even Inter Milan. Are you saying that Jan Sommer, if you go present 50 million pounds to Inter Milan, Jan Sommer, they won't let him go? I mean, it will take some convincing. Yeah. But they will let him go. And Jan Sommer is a top class goalkeeper.
So Mike Mignon is 30. No, just 2 years.
Just, and that's the issue.
But the difference in their quality is as much wider.
So in that sense, so Chelsea are bringing in players, they are signing players, but they are not improving in the areas that they need to improve.
Yeah. No, I'm saying it's just still. Like,
and on top of that, they are bringing in the same profile of players.
Yeah, nothing is improving.
Nothing is improving. So the same type of players. You are not bringing in players to improve the depth in terms of the, can I say variety? In terms of the variety. But you are bringing in players who improve the depth because it's just a numbers game. They are improving it in terms of a numbers perspective. But not in terms of quality, overall quality perspective, and in terms of the variety. They are not improving on that end. So you are still back to square one. Though you brought in players, but you are still back to square one. And the worst part is they are not even targeting the areas that need improvement. That is the worst part.
Okay, let me continue running you through the starting 11. Back four of Mark Kukureya. Gerard Hato is partnering Wesley Fofana today as the two centre backs, and then Malo Gusto playing as the right back for Chelsea. Romeo Lavia is starting.
Hato and
Fofana.
Did you hear the way I sighed? I said, those two.
I mean, I prefer that to the Adar Abiu and
Charlie
and Badiashile.
yeah, the choices are not
Badiashile good at all.
There's only maybe the Star guy from Strasbourg. I haven't seen enough of him when he starts. I haven't seen him paired enough with one of the.
I don't know
Did
what's
you watch him
happened.
during the week?
I don't know what's
against
happened to Chaloba. Why the coach has
he had an injury.
Okay, I've even forgotten that. Even if he's not injured, the medical, independent medical thing. Yeah, it's also there.
But he got injured on the pitch.
Okay,
And he's going to be
so
out
Caicedo
for
is playing with Romeo Lavia today.
Yes. Lavia, is this Lavia's first start?
Neto, his first start. He's made a couple of starts.
I think this first start in over a year. So
good for him.
Enzo Fernandez, the skipper, Cole Palmer, João Pedro, Edwin's.
for a deadly striker. The deadly striker.
On the part of Everton, 4-2-3-1 formation. Jordan Pickford is starting. Mikolenko playing as the left back. There's Keane playing together with Tarkowski, who is the captain, and then O'Brien as the right back. Idrissa Gana Gay is playing with James Garner today in midfield. Dwight McNeil, Drews Bree Hall, Kiernan facing his former team, and then Iliman Ndiaye, and then the man Beto. Kobe, it was you last I think the second time you were having a conversation about Beto, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beto and the other chap.
Beto and Tieno Barry.
Yeah. His replacement. The person who scouted those two players.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Wow.
No. I mean, not that.
Not much to offer.
Beto has 4 goals this season in the Premier League.
4
as
goals.
a striker.
He's a striker.
He's a striker.
He's not a midfielder.
He's not a centre back
or a left back or
centre back.
Whatever.
Say he has 4 goals.
I just point out that he hasn't. I mean, the lap has 1 goal.
Tieno Barry too has like 3 goals or so.
Yeah, but the lap has 1 goal. Like if we are comparing quality,
that's why.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying that
Chelsea's transfer.
the lap has been that bad. So I'm just saying that Barry hasn't been as bad as the lap. Like I'm just.
But who's comparing him to the lap?
I'm just saying people have the perspective that Barry
is not part 2.
The lap has a goal. Barry has 4 goals. All of them aren't even up to 6 goals for the season. None is good.
So they are all
bad. It's just different levels of bad. That's all. One is less bad.
Yeah, so the game kicks off at 5:30. Chelsea taking on Everton. Chelsea playing as host. As guest to Everton at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. And then the final game in the EPL for today would be at the Elland Road. Leeds United taking on Brentford at 8 p.m. Then tomorrow, a lot more games to look forward to, including the Carabao Cup final. Phone line still activated: 0549 986 996 0549 986 996. The WhatsApp line is 0539 986 996. Saying the number calling is not reachable. Okay. 0549 986 996. Yeah. So 0549 986 996. That's the call line. You can call now and let's get talking. You have some, let's say, 40 minutes to wrap up. So you can also share your thoughts. Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans, Chelsea fans, Liam Rosinius fans. You can also call and share. The guys already having an argument about if Amorim is better than Liam. Okay, we'll come back to that. But we do have our first caller. Hi, your name, where are you calling us from? Okay, it's a caller there. Hi, your name, where are you calling us from?
Hello.
Yeah, your name, please.
We'll come up to that. But we do have our first.
Hello. Okay, please, when you call, you need to turn down the volume of a radio set for me, okay? So that you don't listen to yourself before you speak. it doesn't help with the show, and also gives us a very bad feedback. So just turn down the volume for me, and then you can speak. I know boys like listening to.
How else do you know you're on the radio?
Yeah, so when I say hello, I want to hear the hello easy. When you finish, you can always go back to the stream and go ahead
And go and play it for your friends.
And you can cut that part, and then you go take your 3 points.
Yes.
Hi, your name where you calling us from?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, your name where you calling us from, please.
Hello, I'm calling from Asufan. I'm calling from.
Can you power up for me? I really cannot hear you.
Hello. I'm calling from Asufan.
You're calling from where?
Asufan, Fanko Asufan.
Okay, Asofa. Okay. Your name, please. Ofanko. Oh, okay. Your name.
My name is Naneo.
Nana, what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the Premiership. I think I'm United fan, and I think I'm Barcelona fan. But then yesterday, what happened? I wasn't so happy. But yesterday, as United fans, know perfectly that we will play Champions League this year. And kudos to Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick has done a lot for United, and I'm very impressed. And one, I also want to say that Chelsea people, they should take time. They should take very good time, because for the Champions League, because they went in for the world champion, we were talking a whole lot about they and Paris Saint-Germain. But they know exactly that Paris Saint-Germain is a team that they can never beat Paris Saint-Germain at this time. You understand? But all that I'm saying is Manchester United this year will play Champions League. Manchester United this year will play Champions League. And kudos to Michael Carrick. Please, I want to greet somebody if I have that privilege.
Please make it snappy for me.
Okay. Please, I want to greet my friend. His name is Mauli. He works at Photofat. Yeah, it's my best friend.
Okay.
The website.
Okay.
Yeah, kudos to Mauli. Yeah, thank
All
you very much. And he's also my Man City fan. And greetings to my wife, Sarah Fansa, and all my fans. Okay, greetings to all the sports fans.
Charlie, you get fans, wow. Hey, and I'll be hard guy.
Yeah, I'll be hard guy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to 0549986 996 Charlie, they shout to you over here. Yeah, just hold on. I think I have a second caller. Hi, anyone where you calling us from? Hello,
good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good.
Your name, please. Where are you calling us from?
Mine is not about the program, but I just want you to help me get ECD. Our line went off. We've been calling them, but they wouldn't pick the call. So if you can help us get ECD.
What area is that?
Banana in around the Mabuk Park. The transformer, we call it sidekick transformer.
Okay, all right.
Banana in around Mabuk Park.
All right. We'll put a word across for you.
The transformer is just
it's already gone. So because you're live on 97.3, so we're good, right? All right. Thank you so much. All right. 0549996 996. Charlie, the light there they need because the way the sun is blazing.
Oh, bro.
It's crazy. Yeah. So 054. I understand where he has to just quickly chip that in so that 0549996 996. Then you have a caller. Okay.
I wanted to touch quickly on the point. I have a worry with Man United that they will Fulham almost score, but look, I feel like they'll take for granted what Michael Carrick has done and think that they can find a different manager who can just build on what
that one there to have
they can find a different manager who can build on what Michael Carrick has done.
And that one there will happen because it's inevitable.
Well,
so.
And then I think we are going back to the start of.
That's what Man United have done.
What would you want to add him to the tech team?
No, I think he should be. I think he should be given the.
But the team, the coach that comes in will come with his.
No, I'm not tech team, but like if you are not convinced, give it on a season by season basis. If you're worried that you're going to have to overpay him, but I think over time he can actually The same problem with Rosini. Obviously, he hasn't achieved a lot, but his connection to the club gives him a distinct advantage. His connection to the Ferguson era of the club also gives him a distinct advantage. And I think that based on what he's achieved so far, how he's been able to get the team to play football. If you look at all the managers who have come before that, I don't think they've been able to get this much consistency in this short period of time.
Okay.
But I just think don't take that for granted. Give him the job. If it doesn't work out, then you go next with your big plan to who you want to hire.
All right.
Fulham just won a penalty.
All right. So let's see if
Dubravka has been sent off.
they can add a third goal. All right. But let's get back to the phone lines. I know where you're calling us from.
Hello.
Yes, your name, please.
Yeah, this is Superior.
This is who?
Superior.
I really cannot hear you.
Superior.
All right. Please go ahead.
From 5. So, I'm a 35.
Okay. Please go ahead. Make it snappy. Okay.
Alright, so we are going to see, we are going to win today. So no doubt about it. We are going to win. 3-0.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for your time. Your line is not really too clear. So, 054996 996 054996 996. Hi, I don't know where you're calling us from, please. Okay, we lost that caller. But Fulham do have a third goal.
I think he has one of my
Against
favorite
Burnley.
stats. He still hasn't missed a penalty in the Premier League, so
I
I
see.
think this would be his fourth. That's the longest run of that
Yeah.
such. So yeah, 3-1 for Fulham. Fulham could actually push for Europe.
All
They are
right.
just a point behind Brentford now.
Okay, your name, where you calling us from, please?
My name is John Champion. I'm calling from Medina.
John Champion,
Yes. I'm a Chelsea fan.
the commentator.
Chelsea this season, I know we are not going to make it in top four, no matter how we do. Last week I said the problem is not the coach. The problem is the Chelsea hierarchy. They go out and buy players who will not give their best to the team. Because you can't buy somebody like Garnacho. Garnacho, Manchester United reject. A player who cannot call, he cannot do anything. And you go and buy such a player and bring to this team. What kind of contribution does he have? So me, I don't blame the coach. I blame the hierarchy. That's what I want to see.
All right, thank you so much for your time. 054996 996 0549 96 996 054996 996. You can also call us. We'll take maybe our final 2 callers and then it's a wrap for today. But we're back here same time tomorrow, 2 to 5 p.m. for the rest of the games that would be kicking off on Sunday. Gabriel Fair, yes. It's always the Republic of Football show, Saturday, Sunday. So we'll take our final callers, final 2, 054996 996 054996 996. Kaji, you wanted to make a point?
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at Premier League, I don't know how exactly to couch this, but I think it's been one of the most inconsistent seasons all around. Because I can point to every single team in the league and a point where they maybe bar Arsenal and even Arsenal and City have probably had their runs. But I can point to every point in time where a team in the league was was having a bad run of form and they've been able to turn it around. Like there was a point where Tottenham were pushing top 6 and Fulham were closer to the relegation zone, and even Brentford when they started the season. So there's been a lot. I think maybe actually to be fair, I think maybe Brentford.
Okay.
Maybe Brentford. They've sort of been I don't think they've lost too many games, but just generally the Premier League, and even though it's been all that unpredictable, when we're looking when you look at the top 6, I go back to the point I was making about how usually the top 6 positions were reserved for the top 6 clubs. The only club that's not in there is Spurs. So you still have Chelsea, City, United, Arsenal, Liverpool and Chelsea in the top 6.
Okay.
And that's where it's been a strange season, but some way, somehow, I feel like everything is settled in now. But just in terms of the season, I feel like there's been a lot of ups and downs for every team in there.
Okay. All right. I will take our final caller. Hi, I don't know where you're calling us from, please.
Hello, good evening. I'm Shaibu. I just called back because my line was bad.
Oh, Shaibu. All right. Talk to me, Shaibu.
I'm a Chelsea fan. I just want to know whether Luke Shaw is still playing for United.
Yes, he is.
Is Luke Shaw better than all the Chelsea defenders?
Is he better than all the Chelsea defenders?
Are you sure?
Are you asking that he's better than all the Chelsea defenders? That's in the centre backs. But
he's still playing for United, but the United fans, they are all on Chelsea defenders all the time. We use the same defenders to win the Club World Cup. For me, I think we are just having a bad form. All the players are having a bad patch, that's all. We will come good next season, and I know we'll qualify for the Champions League. I still have hope.
All right.
My problem is Manchester United, and they are a player who cannot even run. And they are criticizing Chelsea defenders. Luke Shaw will not start at Chelsea. So that's my take.
All right. Thank you so much, Shaibu. We appreciate your submission. That's it for the callers. Fulham won the game, right?
3-1.
By 3 goals to 1.
Yeah, just a quick one before we run out of the studio.
Yeah.
Man United, they are fond of doing this, and they've been fond of doing this over the past 10 years. That's why they are where they are. If you take a decision, stick to it and see it through. The same thing is happening with this Casemiro thing. It was so clear that Casemiro is a goner. Then, isn't it strange that as soon as Man United get eliminated from the Carabao Cup, eliminated from the FA Cup, and now they are playing just a game a week, or sometimes a game pretty much 2 weeks, all of a sudden Casemiro's form has improved. It's because the workload it has reduced.
He isn't playing.
He isn't playing as much. So clearly, a player like that isn't cut out for a team like Man United that will be competing on all 4 fronts.
If you have
so let him go. You have the option of going in for a player who is younger, can play at that same top quality level and even better or even higher across all 4 competitions. That's what you should be doing, not starting to entertain this thought of bringing back Casemiro for another year. That is the nonsense that they've been dealing with or they've been doing that has brought them to this point where Man United consistently aren't competing for the top tier level competitions or trophies. It's the same thing happening with this Michael Carrick thing. You brought in this guy because you clearly had hesitancy giving him the full-time job because he was not tested or he has not been tested extensively. Regardless of the size of the club that he's coached at, we've seen Vincent Kompany coach at Burnley and move all the way to Bayern Munich. It's because he had an extensive run coaching at the top tier level. He coached in the Championship. He coached at the Premier League level.
Coach at the Belgian League too, under.
Exactly. So he's been tested to an extent. So if you make that gamble or take that gamble and go and get him, if you are buying Munich, for me it fits. It makes sense.
His body of work is enough to show.
It's enough. Michael Carrick, yes, he's having a good, decent 5 months, 4 month run. But is that enough to get him the job? When again, just like the Liverpool situation, there are better options out there. And in the end, those options that are out there, per what he has done in his career, and per what those options have done in their career, are they better than Michael Carrick?
Yes.
And the answer is a big yes. So why aren't you going in for those guys and starting to entertain this thought of retaining Michael Carrick? Unai Emery is now in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. It's very possible that Aston Villa could end up winning the Europa League, and that would mean that Unai Emery has won the Europa League title 5 times. Why wouldn't you go in for a manager like that? Or Xabi Alonso? And we are talking about Michael Carrick? Come on, man. Man United, stick with the original plan. The original plan was to let Michael Carrick go at the end of the season. The original plan was to let Casemiro go at the end of the season. Stick to it. Bring in top level replacements and build on what Michael Carrick and Casemiro have done for you.
Okay. Interesting thoughts by Mita. I'm sure that some United faithfuls will be holding different opinions. I've actually seen and read that the job should be given to Michael Carrick full time. Back him
Give
with
him the job.
They should give
Give him
the
the
job.
job.
Is your analysis not biased?
No, and yes, there are better managers in theory, but I've also seen these better managers.
In practice too.
Not
I've
just
seen
in
these
theory.
better managers coming like Amorim,
Yeah.
like Ten Hag, like Van Gaal, and they haven't been able to, get the same impact that Carrick has had.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, the problem is since Guardiola, there hasn't been a lot of prodigies. Let me see, come up from the youth. I'll say maybe Maresca, Arteta, maybe some of them from the Pep school. They've been able to bridge that a little, but most of the managers who've come up have probably gone the Pirlo route, where they haven't necessarily. They had a lot of promise. Xavi won a league title. Maybe I can include him in there. But there are some certain managers who have had affiliation with the club, who have been able to ride on that and the experience of being a player to become good managers. And they haven't necessarily had to be reliant on going to do the hard 9 yards like every other manager has had to do, merely because they were top level players and they have that experience that you can't. That's the difference between a manager like maybe even Xabi in town like Klopp. Like Xabi has had top level managers and he's been a top level player himself, and sometimes that can also impact how the decision that you make on the field, because there's a similarity to being a captain and being a manager. I'm not saying they are two completely different jobs, but sometimes you have to take control. You have to take control of the situation and direct certain parts within the game in order to help the win. And that's why I think that obviously he doesn't have the pedigree, but like I keep saying, the only way you can get the pedigree is by doing it. And now that Carrick has the opportunity, maybe this is opportunity to show that I'm not saying he's Guardiola. That is not what I am saying. But Michael Carrick can become a top level manager if he is given the opportunity to grow at Man United. And if you look at a club like Arsenal and Arteta, you can see that it's possible for managers to grow over time and become better and help the club become better. Whether or not it will happen within the space of time, Man United want this to happen within 2 years. Carrick can probably be a 5-year plan like Arteta. And that's just where it depends on what you want and how fast you want it. And I just think that they've tried to go too fast, too soon before. And I think maybe now that you have something that's actually building, take your time and be consistent with it and see where it goes.
All right. A lot more will be discussed later tomorrow. 97.3. But that's how we bring an end to today's episode. The Republic of Football every weekend, Saturday, Sunday. Right here 97.3. Also live on City Sports Ghana. And also on TV, always Channel 1 TV. Thanks to the guys out there, those who called, our guys on YouTube texting. We appreciate and love you guys as always. Also those who texted us and WhatsApp, we also appreciate you as always. We heard from Yai Jeminta, Manuel Angelo Kwache, and Kobe Obeng. I think our support from Daniel Squashy. Also, big support from our man, Edwin Kwakofi. We call him João Pedro. The deadly striker. I'm Gabi Affair. See you same time next week. I'm out.